Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day number 3. It is the finals, and we are taking a look at the losers bracket finals. Up first, Cog and Dig.
This has been a matchup we've seen a lot.
Yes.
This was the winners finals of a lot of the qualifiers. We've seen them recently outside of the qualifiers. They almost played in the Arena Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to be, I mean, a fantastic set of games. I don't think anyone out there would expect anything less from two of the most dominant teams in Smite's history. Cog had the longest win streak running of any team in any country, anywhere. And then Dig also has the most LAN experience, the most LAN wins, which is an incredible feat.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very, very interesting kind of scenario that has played out here today. We were talking to Clutch, the host, just a moment ago, talking about we get to see first in this first game who is the best in North America.
Yeah.
And then they go on to face TSM to see who the best is in the world.
We're going to shoot it on up to the Alienware Analyst desk, where Trendkill is going to ask Strybear about his favorite Sunday.
No, I think actually we're going to be able to take a quick look at the player intro videos before we do toss it up there.
Oh, are we?
I believe we are. So if we have Team Dignitas ready, let's take a look at the number 2 seed from North America. They won a lot of the qualifying games, but weren't able to take down the series. But there they are, ladies and gentlemen. It is Lassus, the captain, Zapman, your hunter, Shadowcube, joining him in the dual lane. The best and Anatoly rounding out mid and solo.
Let's take a look at their stats as well. Team captain Lassus has had a fantastic weekend.
He has.
This guy has been, and I think most of the plays that we've seen across the weekend have had his name in it one way or another.
Yeah, they've been very, very strong, and you know, Lassus has played very well. I think Zapman's played very, very well in this tournament as well. Overperforming, I think, is Team Dignitas.
Yeah, Anatoly has been, I mean, every single game we saw him in yesterday, he was just in constant plays, making things happen, healing, causing look at him on the screen,
look at
everybody.
That smile.
Love Anatoly.
You know that he is there. But yeah, you know, I think that's absolutely right. I think Dignitas is punching a little bit above their weight here, and I think Cog is actually playing down a little bit. You know, in the kind of whole world of how this tournament has gone, you know, we saw yesterday, as we kind of move into talking about Cog here, is that, you know, they were missing some Banish snipes. They were missing, you know, the Cataclysm ultimate coming off of a Banish as well. Doesn't seem as tight as they always have been. But taking a look here at Cognitive Gaming, ladies and gentlemen, handsome group of guys, that they are the number 1 seed with the absurd 90% win rate.
How is that even possible? And what's crazy is that 90% win-loss in the qualifiers doesn't dictate set losses. These are game losses. They have never lost a set. During the qualifier, they came in with 800 seed points over 8 weeks, a perfect score.
They are looking to take down Team Dignitas and have their work cut out for them today. It's going to be a best-of-3 series, ladies and gentlemen, between these two teams to determine who goes on to play in the grand finals, where they will enter with a 1-game deficit to TSM in the best-of-5.
That's right. TSM did manage to win winners finals, which ensures that they will have an advantage going into the final set.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we are going to be moving our way over to the picking and banning stage here shortly. Very, very excited. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Team Dignitas and Cognitive Gaming, game number 1, live from Atlanta.
Again, these two teams have met time and time again, but this is the meeting that matters. Cog definitely has the win ratio over Dig. They've won almost every single engagement, but this is the one that matters. This is what it all comes down to.
So kind of getting into the picking and banning stage and the gods we expect to see, you know, I think that there'll be no surprises in the bans. We'll see Odin and Nemesis taken out right away.
Yeah.
If Freya is not banned, I think she'll be a very good indicator of which team's going to have the advantage in the picking stage.
Both Lassus and Andancer, we actually saw them playing in the clips there, have incredible jungle Freyas, and they have dictated a lot of the way that each game has gone.
I think Geb also a popular pick for both of these teams. Dare to Care and Shadowcube both value that god highly.
On stage B, we did see Dare to Care with one of the, I think, maybe the biggest game save of all time, stopping 4 people from pushing a Titan down under 20% health.
Big plays. That was if the 4-man Cataclysm into the wipe for Cognitive Gaming. They brought that one back from down about 20K to sit here in front of you today. It looks like our bans are starting to come through, so we are underway here in the first ban. No big surprise there. Nemesis right out of the pool.
Yeah, no one's going to be surprised at that one. We saw her 3 games in a row in the first set. She dominated those games. Oh, there goes Chalk.
There goes Chalk.
Yeah,
so no big surprises here.
No.
Odin's going to come off next. And then it just comes down to which kind of mage they want to ban out. Is it going to be the Zeus? Will they ban out a mid lane?
Poseidon
Agni
has
or
been
Poseidon,
very strong this tournament.
Has. I think Europe plays Poseidon probably the best. Actually, I think that's extremely safe to say. Lobster, a very, very dominant Poseidon player. There's the Freya ban. So
I like this because they have first pick on COG, and they're not going to want to first pick Freya, which means they don't want to give it up to Lassus.
Right, you don't want to give away both, something like a Sun Wukong Freya. Oh. And there goes Zeus. So Odin actually unbanned in this match. I would say it's almost guaranteed we're going to see him.
Well, definitely within the first 3. I think COG's thrown for a loop here. I think they had a plan, which is why you're not seeing the auto lock. They're definitely talking about it.
See what they are going to go ahead and move into. Will it be the Odin that we suspect it might? Indeed it will. Locked in is the Allfather. Odin will be on the side of Cognitive Gaming, most likely as a support.
More than likely. Dare to Care is Odin. Have you seen this? I've seen it in Ranked. I've seen it in scrims over the past couple weeks, and oh my God, this kid is insanity.
Oh, taking a look here at Tyr and Ra is Team Dignitas. As soon as we get them locked in, we will indeed. They're going to be picking up the Tyr for either the jungle control or solo lane farm lane. With Ra on the team, they can put him mid. They have a lot of versatility with these picks, I guess, is kind of the end of the day what we're looking at here.
Talking with a lot of the players, they think more than likely we're going to see Tyr banned out on everything we see online. But here, they think it's very simple to get that purification beats off immediately without getting too much damage from the Fearless, so they're not as worried.
Oh,
there's the baby.
The baby is locked in for Cognitive. They will be running a Vamana in game number 1, as well as a Muzen comp as their hunter. So, they're setting up for a comp that we've seen be pretty successful throughout this tournament. Odin to control the team fights, and then the late rotation from Vamana to clean them up.
I really predicted that Zatman was going to grab AMC for this game. I think he was really looking forward to it, and I think that was a really good counter pick by grabbing that first.
Taking a look here at Agni now as Team Dignitas for that mid lane role, which would indicate that the best current pick, Ra, will be moving into the solo lane, likely putting Tyr into the jungle. They're going to be looking probably also for a hunter here, and there it is, Apollo coming out. They do want to save their final pick kind of to maybe have a little wiggle room depending on what Cognitive drafts.
It's interesting because AMC and Apollo are the 2 strongest structure damage characters in the game. Audacity and Hives really hell. Is that an Alquan?
Wow, locked in is Alquan and a Hobblon.
Mage damage. They were going to need 2 magic here. This could be, it looks like
it's going to be Hobblon jungle.
It's going to be jungle Hobblon, yeah.
Yeah, they need the magic damage coming out of the jungle. They have a lot of physical on their team. They're going to have a double physical duo lane.
Aphrodite.
He's looking at Aphrodite, the goddess of love.
She has a pretty good matchup against the baby.
She does. She can do well against him, but she can't be there.
No,
she'll be in the support
this
with Apollo.
This is Shadow Q's Afro.
Afro will be going to Shadow Q. They'll be putting Ra into the solo, Tyr in the jungle, and Agni mid, of course. And, Ra versus Vamana should be a pretty much 5-5 matchup.
Yeah, neither one's really going to kill, although we did see Game Hunter have some pretty good matches in that matchup, man.
Creeping Curse, a couple of active items that have been really, really impactful in this tournament. Creeping Curse we've seen early, especially very early, getting kills and securing them, as well as Shell. A lot of Shells.
I love Shell.
You love the Shell?
I love Shell. Nobody
why don't you
abuses
tell us
Shell.
about the Shell?
Shell's going to give you 45 protections at level 3 and a 15% damage reduction, and that does stack with the reflective shell as well if you're looking for the extra protections.
Oh, that's ugly.
It gets pretty ugly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, if you love it so much, why don't you marry it?
Afro's already in the game. When she's out, she's going to process.
Nice,
it's be
very good. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into the game. It's game number 1 in a best of 3. Cognitive Gaming North America versus Team Dignitas.
Again, guys, this is going to be your lower bracket finals. Winner will go on to fight Team Solo Mid in Grands.
So without any further ado, please allow us to introduce your team. They are the blue team fighting out of the bottom of the minimap, the left side of your spectator UI. They are the order team. It is Cognitive Gaming, Omega in the solo lane on Vamana, Dare to Care and Barracuda combining for the Odin and a Muzen Cop dual lane, Andenster in the jungle as Hubwa, and MLC Stealth in the mid lane as Alquan.
They're going to be going up against fan favorite team Dignitas, guys. Give it up. We're going to find the best going mid lane with Agni. Shadow Q going support Aphrodite to babysit the Zatman. Split push master going to be playing Apollo. Anatoly going to the solo lane on Ra. And last is captain of Team Dignitas playing Tyr in the jungle.
We're Gonna see exactly what these teams are looking to do here in just a moment. You can see COG roaming together on the left side of the map. You'll notice here, as we were just moving out of that third-person view, that this game is played, of course, in that perspective. So from this angle, it's a little bit hard to tell, but a lot of times you'll see abilities hit through walls, and many times those are blind hits.
So right now I'm worried, Bart, because if MLC Stealth does well this game, I'm going to get more Alcon in my ranked games, and I don't want that.
That's right. You know, this is actually, I want to say certainly the first on the main stage that we've seen Alcon in the tournament.
Yeah, we have not seen much of the Dragon, but we're going to see him on the right side with Omega. They're going to be going, yeah, it looks like just for the mid-Harpies, nothing unusual. Yeah, pretty much normal stuff, top side. Ooh, blue buff. Left camp will be spotted here. Looks like Dare's going to rotate in. We get some pings coming out as well as Anatoly and Lassus find themselves a jungle hobble, a heavenly agility pop, but they are not quick enough.
Wow, so they already used that heavenly agility. I mean, it is only a 60-second cooldown, granted, but you know they invested a little heavily into that. Yeah, I'm surprised they chased that far instead of turning around and just stealing one of the camps.
Right side, it looks like they're going to be getting to lane here and getting some damage done onto these creeps as spotted on the map. I'm interested to see what COG and Anderson are going to do here.
Let's talk about the mid lane matchup where it's MLC Stealth versus the best, two of the best mid laners in North America, and it will be the Alcon versus Agi matchup. Something we see a lot in online play and on the qualifiers, but not here in LAN just yet. You know, especially with that Freya banned out, it's going to come down a lot to MLC Stealth's ability to hit those ultimates.
So it looks like Anatoly and Lassus are going to be a little bit farther behind. Anatoly just hitting level 2, whereas we see Omega in the right lane already level 3.
MLC Stealth has actually harassed Best down quite a bit in the mid lane here. Taking him down to under half health now. Will have the lane advantage, and it looks like Best is going to maybe look for a rotation as Shadowq is in some trouble. Dare to Care hot on his heels. Zaman throwing in the auto attacks. They have the support from the mid. Where is Alcon? Still in the mid lane farming. Odin continuing in. So much
body
damage.
blocks.
The body blocks by the Best. Well played. Lunge coming
level
out.
1 lunge. 140 damage. Base Shadowq is taken down. First blood.
Gentlemen, that is your Logitech First Blood. Cognitive Gaming finds the first kill of the game, and it comes down to Odin's early game damage. That man could not stay in and try to harass too low on HP.
It is the hardest hitting single hit attack at level 1 right there. One of another hardest ones, we see Zatman getting down to about 20% health as you see him take those Bs. If this was 6 months ago, that would have killed him.
That's right, yeah, the last tick definitely would have been enough. Stealth now has continued to kind of have this bully advantage over the Best in the mid, keeping him fairly pinned back. We haven't talked much about Solo Island yet, so let's go ahead and introduce your players here. It's going to be Omega on the Vamana versus Anatoly's Ra. This should be almost a complete farm lane.
Yeah, this is something we've seen a lot. We like to refer to this as the Solo Island. You're picking bruisers and warriors and characters that have a lot of healing potential, not characters that have a ton of burst damage.
Look at that. He could be some trouble. Red buff just got stolen, does dash through the Squall, but definitely want to make a note of that, ladies and gentlemen. Cognitive has stolen the Dignitas red buff now. That's going to take some experience away from them and will be slowing down Lassus' tier jungle.
Dignitas is already down 1,300 gold. This is the Cognitive that we've seen in the past couple months.
Absolutely. They look like they are in old form. They're getting the better of Dignitas in the early parts of the game. And you know, Dignitas is a team that doesn't play amazing from behind. They're definitely a team that plays well at even. They play well with a lead, but from behind, they don't play that well, and this comp does not lend itself to playing from behind tremendously well either.
At the same time, we have seen them turn around a lot of games, and celebratedly, we don't really have a lot of lane potential coming out from Dignitas. I think they're one of the first people to say that they're not wonderful in lane. It's when the mid game, when the gold tiers just start getting taken. But that man gets caught. Shadowq.
Take a look mid. Lassus is here. Fearless Chain out on the Stealth as well. Bombs coming through. Down goes MLC Stealth. A return kill for Team Dignitas.
Let's go 1 for 1 across the board there. Junglers finally lending to the lanes, as we see Andy and Lassus make themselves known, both level 5, using their ultimates there. And we do see still a 1,350 gold difference still in favor of Cognitive and a 2,200 experience difference.
Yeah, that's really the big deal there, is all that experience separating these teams. You can see that Shadowq and Zatman sitting at level 4, where it's level 6 across the board for Cognitive. However, Best does have the overall experience advantage in the game, being the first to hit level 7.
So mid-camp's getting ready to respawn here at the 4:15 mark. We're going to see the left side immediately go down to Dare to Care. Right side, no one's looking for contention just yet.
Stealth going to go ahead and continue playing aggressive. They find the knockup on the best, going to force out yet another dash. He's in some trouble as Dare to Care's rotating in as well. They're going to maybe take a look for Lassus. He has Blue Stance Fearless here to get away if he needs it, and an orange buff, so going to be a little bit too speedy for Cognitive to catch up to, but they do make some room around the map. Stealth will continue to farm up, and Alkwong, if he safely farms for the first 20 minutes of the game, similar to how you might see a Vamana get farmed, can be very, very deadly in the later stages of that mid-game.
They actually do have a lot of mid-game characters, and Moose and Cobb not super strong in the beginning, but in the mid-game when the hives start to get level and the honey is super sticky, it can get pretty nuts. Talking about Vamana as well, once we see his second to third item start getting built, he really starts to lose, kind of spiral out of control. And then Alkwong, I mean, he always has a lot of damage, but he can just sit under his tower, throw tornadoes, and never really put himself in too much danger.
So solo lane continues to farm away, and you're absolutely right. Once Vamana comes online, it's always very scary and very difficult to deal with, and I think Omega here, going with the Death Soul opening, is going to be looking for a fairly aggressive start.
A little bit off on that tornado there. Very unlike MLC. Stealth's going to miss three.
Right side lane,
right
looking for Lassus. Fearless Chain is good. Anatoly, not a lot of mana. Knock up from Omega. They're going to try to chase him down. They're going to get him. Anatoly picks up the kill on Omega's Vamana.
Suddenly 2 for 2, but still 1,400 gold. Even with that, they're still losing gold. The Cog farm, thanks to the mid camps and the jungle steals, is too strong. But now, speaking of mid-bar, Gungnir's Smite will go off, but we will not see the cage. Ring of Spears not used there. The best will escape.
Yeah, a little surprised to not see the ultimate be called in there.
See that?
Right side lane.
Oh my God. Lassus used Fearless like Indiana Jones to escape the crushing wave. Oh, but look at this. He's low. This knockup could put him in a bad spot.
But he's giving Anatoly a good angle here. Going to be able to close the distance. Oh,
dodges.
The jukes, the well played. But still could be in some trouble. Lassus is going to look to rotate back in, but it's a very dangerous gambit. So much damage from that early game Hubwall with the red buff. Toly going to snipe the wave, knowing that he needs to fall back and heal. And Omega may be looking to dive the tower here shortly as well.
You know, I was looking on some threads this morning, seeing people talk about how Hubwall is no longer a pick that's viable, and I think Ananster's kind of poking at that a little bit this game.
Well, when we saw Hubwall Jungle picked up before, we saw a lot of missed crushing waves.
Yeah,
and I think that, you know, Hubwall, maybe more than any other god, is extremely snowball dependent. If you are behind as Hubwall, you're going to die probably double digits in the game. If you're ahead, you're probably going to get 10 plus kills. So, you know, he's very feast or famine.
I like that. I like feast or famine.
Yeah, it's not
I like
bad,
you, Bart.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Small camp getting taken on the bottom side by MLC Stealth, who will hit level 10 off that and catch up to the best. Ananster currently top farm in the game, even though he's only level 9 at 4,400. That's a kill onto Hubwall, and he's rushing into Trinket. Dare to Care looking for something Gungnir's might use, but it doesn't look like he's going to go for anything after it.
Lassus here with the blink. He's going to find no Dare to Care. The reactions are so real.
The preemptive purification cage.
That's right, the cage of purification.
Left side, Barra's trying to hold it down from ShadowQ and Zapman, but he is level 9 right now, comparatively to the level 8 support of ShadowQ in level 7. Zapman, but there looks like a rotation here. Barra spots it, could be in trouble. Fearless hits, 2 shots. Barra might escape here. He does go down, crushing wave, but Zapman does get picked up afterwards. Lassus almost gave a double kill.
He's going to keep fighting, has the water carpet. There's the water hands, knock up, she's slowed. Aphrodite in a lot of trouble, and the stir with a double kill and a killing spree.
3 kills on a character you never want to see have kills if you're going up against him. Right now, in hand, he has 866 gold. Omegatron sitting on 900. Speaking of which, we're going to see him in the mid lane trying to hold down Anatoly.
No wards from Team Dignitas. This Gold Fury has been successfully taken by Cognitive Gaming. 8.5 minutes in, they have built themselves a respectable 3,500 gold lead, DM.
We're only 8 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. This is a completely different Cognitive game than we saw yesterday.
Yeah, they must have gone home and drinking some of Mike's secret stuff or something.
I don't think I saw any of them at the party.
Yeah, I think Cog really buttoned down, and they are coming out here with a game plan and executing very, very well. And this jungle Evo is working out fantastically for them.
Well, Andy is one of those junglers that is constantly fighting, always looking for ganks, and he's a great farmer as well. But level 11 right now ties him for highest in the game, not to mention 5,700 gold in the pocket.
Cognitive is pinging out Lassus. They're going to try to steal this blue buff away. It looks like Andy did drop it, and now they're going to go and look to engage, but they're going to need at least one more CC or a knock-up. Not going to find it. Heavenly Agility going to get them out of dodge.
But Anatoly's out of mana here. Oh, Mega's going to go for it. The baby gets big, and he's pushing up in the back line. Crushing Wave's going to miss. Age is going to be used right there, but Anatoly does go down once again to the god of the Yellow River.
Oh, Lassus looking for big plays there, however, going to just miss that Fearless Chain. Could have easily turned that around if he caught either of them, but once again, we just see that Hubba wrecking. I mean, especially Water Cannon is #1, doing so much damage, and the Aegis is all well and good, and it was a brilliant play to avoid, but not enough.
Zatman just barely got out of that cage thanks to the help and healing of Shadow Q, using that Aphrodite again. But look at this. This is troublesome as they move forward. Kiss is going to be completely wasted. Uh-oh, jumping in. Lunge could be level 1, still 140 base damage, but no Gungnir's
like
fight.
Dignitas wants to fight.
Zatman's going to fight it out.
Oh, he's in some trouble though. The B. Moves in. Barracuda finds a kill in the duo. Overextension by Zatman.
Oh, overextension possibly again. Barracuda gonna dodge 2 shots there and get out safely.
Now here comes the rotation from Hubla. The River God, he's going to find Best rotating back in stealth. Going to find him as well. He doesn't have a dash available. Bad news for Best. Agni, there's the dash coming out. Spirit Tempest cleans him up. Down goes the Best.
Did you see the placement of that Spirit's Tempest? It completely encompassed his path. His option was go forward and die or come backward and die.
Andister has finished the Polynomicon now.
Already?
So the Hubla burst damage is going to be insane. 11 minutes for the Poly. This is bad news for Team Dignitas.
In before Rod?
Yes.
You think he's going to rush it, or are you going to go Void
Stone? Rod. You know, I do.
Yeah?
I think Tiny Trinket.
Oh, right side, Bart. Big baby has the sprint active. Anatoly, Heavenly Agility, just trying to back off here. He does have healing available. You can see that right there on the ground, the Solar Blessing bit. Oh my God, Megatron.
But back to your earlier question, yeah, I do think he will rush Rod Jehudi. The Tiny Trinket, the item that it built out of now, a lot better than it used to be. The rank from Ratatouille used to be just an awful item. Now you are going to get a little bit more magical power and a little bit of MP5 out of it at rank 1. So I think it's a little safer to pick it up as a second or third item.
Did Andy? Andy just stole the red buff again.
Hey, he just takes it so fast. It's very hard for them, I think, to kind of find that and stop it.
All camp getting taken on the top side there as we see the Best rotating down. Hobwa here just trying to rotate in. Maybe keep the Best honest here. Gets a knockup.
Left side, there's a fight. Zatman getting smacked around by Dare to Care, but now it's Dare that's forced back. Barracuda getting kissed out. But not a lot of mana remaining. In fact, none on Shadow Q. And Zatman's taking a lot of damage. Shadow Q trying to body block, and they're trying to fend this off best they can, but you got to be worried about this Odin Lunge coming out. Zatman sitting on about 500, little bit under 500 health now, starting to tick up, but looks like they're going to be okay, at least for the moment.
Right? Looks like left mid camp's going to be up pretty soon. Last is looking to get ready for that mid lane. Still 2 people hanging out with the Best, maybe looking for an option here.
Yeah, it's going to...
Hello? There we go.
There we go.
We're back.
Nice job, boys. Thank you very much for getting us back on. Derek carrying some trouble on the left side there. And he's going to go down to Zatman. They tried to dive that tower, but just couldn't, really couldn't convert. Lassus was there.
No, this is just too greedy in my opinion. If you give Dignitas an inch, they're going to take a mile. Lassus ready. Bear is turning here, but there will be a heal. There's going to be a push, and there will be a kill.
Wow, what a play there. Heavenly Agility coming out from Shadow Q allows Lassus to get the angle to set up that Fearless Chain back into the wall.
Bart, can we talk about my favorite item in the game and how it's currently built twice on Team Dignitas, Heavenly Agility?
Yes, Heavenly Agility, of course, it does provide the AoE sprint, but it also applies a healing increase of 25%. And another thing is, I believe this item still stacks.
And immune to slows?
That's right, in an AoE.
Immune to slows for the whole team?
Oh, Shadow Q's going to avoid an Antister ultimate with an ultimate of his own, but he's going to need some of those patented Shadow Q jukes here to not die. He's going to need a knockup. Rampage for Andy, but here comes Zatman. He's hunting. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find him. Water Carpet going to zone him out too much. Can't take the angle to get in any more auto attacks.
Unfortunate for Zapman there. Analyst does find his 5th kill of the game. Not to mention he does have an assist. Currently 500 gold ahead of anyone else as we see an engagement here. It looks like Dare's just trying to push Zapman down, and inside that cage, you know he can do it.
Last is trying to fight MLC Stealth here in the back lines, but the Fearless Chain just not enough damage. That Warlock Sash starting to get stacked up for Stealth. Just too much HP in his pool for that to be a kill opportunity.
Over in Solo Island, Omegatron has used his ultimate here to gain some of his health back. Anatoly's going to notice this and possibly go for some pushes.
Oh, yes, it is indeed going to be the Polynomicon into Ratatouille rush here for Anderson. Looks like Lost Artifact coming out. The 15 magical power and 5 MP5 going to be eventually built into a tremendous amount of magical power. And that's when things already are scary get terrifying.
That's going to be a total of 250 plus 25%. Going to put him over 300 damage. And we're probably going to see that around the 20-minute marker. So when we get to that point, Analyst is going to be just untouchable.
Barracuda's taking a lot of damage over here in the dual lane. Zapman, Shadow Q combining for a nice amount.
Look at him move forward. What a crazy guy.
Barracuda fears no evil here. But what's important to point out about this matchup so far has been that Dignitas has been basically forced with their picks to keep Shadow Q in this lane, and Barracuda's been holding them off pretty easily. Looks like maybe another objective steal coming up from Cog. Best gonna spot this out, but he could be in some trouble if he gets knocked up by Andy. That man pretty low on mana, doesn't have a lot of options. Last is the backside, Crushing Wave going to miss. Now he's in some trouble as he's locked into the rings. Gonna try to Lawbringer out, gonna be in time. The bomb's raining down, but no one getting low enough for Best.
Same thing, Barracuda over in the left lane fighting 2 people repeatedly. The kiss will hit, the birds are gonna hit, but Zapman has taken just a long time to find this, but will eventually do so. He's not gonna get very far with this ultimate. Back down, Zap. He goes in the fight.
Wow, the Fearless Chain's gonna miss as well on the backside. Zapman's gonna make it out of here somehow.
Oh my
Team
God.
Dignitas covering for their hunter.
Let's talk about Zapman.
I don't know. Steve, please.
Oh, Anatoly finds himself on the receiving end of the baby as he goes down there. Cognitive up 3 kills right now and 5K?
You know, it's like,
oh wait, 6K?
it's the solo lane. It's gotta be. It's cursed or something. The minute those 2 gods move into the mid lane, boom, Omega Dives is Howard gets a kill.
Seriously. It's going to happen again. Dig's going to try to clean up some of the messy minions over in mid. We do have a Gold Fury respawn and kind of a grouping from both teams. We see Omega back over in the right lane. We're going to see Moose and Ka work his way back in. And I'm watching Dig on this one.
Andy only about 2 minutes away from that rod of Tahuti. It's going to be coming out shortly. Gold Fury has been started. This will get him nearly all the way there, sitting at 400 gold a minute already. Only needs, again, about 800 gold. Here comes Shadow Q. Ring is there, but it is taken by Shadow Q. Here comes the Spirit Tempest, not finding a lot of damage to him, as Dignitas is going to be able to disengage, maybe only losing Shadow Q as he's trying to do. No, cleaned out by Barracuda.
That was a good, very necessary steal coming out from Dignitas. That's going to be a 1,000 gold gain overall.
Now looking into the left side lane where the blinker from last is on a dare to care. They're going to try to clean this up. Zapman's there, killing spree of his own. I don't think they can continue in. They could be in some trouble if this knockup hits. Here comes Anderster. Oh, water cannon just off the mark.
They're going to have another shot, though. There's creeps here. Honey gets activated, but the creeps have been taken down. And for now, Dignitas can hold their breath, but another wave comes in, as well as the Lawbringer.
Yeah, Last is just looking to clear the wave. He knows that Zapman can't approach it. As if he gets hit by Anderson, it's going to be a kill. Smartly played by Cog there just to continue and siege that tower, not over-aggress.
We're probably going to see the Best look for a dash here. Andy's looking for the knockup if he goes for it. Actually, they hit Lassus. He's going to heal off some creeps, almost getting him down. Andy very low. Andy goes down.
That tier heal. That seems
that was a bait.
In a really good spot.
Oh, look at Barra. Look at Barra. Look at Stealth. Coming in from the back line. The ultimate use. Barra finds the Best. Lassus is low. And Shadow Q jumps in there for the heal on Zapman, who's going to ride his chariot into what could be a pretty big fight.
Back in. Here comes the Zapman going to the front lines. They're not going to be able to secure much more out of this without... Oh, no. There's the kiss. It's going to hit. Down will fall Barracuda.
Your boy gets some smooches.
All of the smooches.
What's this? What's this? Mr. Derrick here taking a scenic route, not going to find himself a kill before he was able to get back there, just barely. And Zapman, Zapman and Shadow Q are going to go for something, but they will be spotted out here. Lunge jumps in, hand of the gods too early. Dare to Care does not find that one. Zapman picks it up. He does not have his ultimate here, and inside that cage, we do have a lot of extra damage from Oda, but not nearly enough to contend with those two.
It just seemed like a frustration ultimate. Like, you stole my blue buff, man? Well, here's my ultimate.
As well.
Like, it had no real kill potential there, but probably the most important development after that fight, Analyst has completed Rod of Tahuti.
Oh, already?
Already. 20 minutes.
Oh my God, that's going to put him, he's just a powerhouse right now. You
also
can't fight him.
Shadow Q, way too meta.
I love it. I was going to mention when he bought the Ancient Blade, he has currently picked up Winged Blade. This is going to give him slow immunity.
No, that's Witchblade.
Oh, Witchblade. I'm sorry. That's right. This is going to give him extra movement speed, attack speed, and of course reduce the physical power of, well, let's just aim that at Barracuda for now.
Yeah, attack speed and physical power reduction. Want to keep Barracuda down. Glasses gets it chunked so hard. Analyst, the definition of the glass carry. You saw the return damage nearly take him down, so has to be careful. Definitely has a tough angle to deal with here. Zapman right on Barracuda's tail, putting in the damage. There's the Mez coming out. Kiss is going to hit, but he beats instantly. Barracuda with the juke. Now the Heavenly Agility activated. Going to be tough for him. He's going to get smacked. Zapman on the rampage.
Still 5K ahead is Cog. They've lost 1,000. And they're going to lose even more, 4,500. Diggs making their name known.
They find Vamana as well, keeping the baby down for now. Haste and Fatalis, Heartseeker are done, but still doesn't have the defensive item. Vamana still very killable at this point in the game.
That's true. I mean, until he really gets into his later game, where he's going to have more health and more defense, he's definitely a target you can bully. And right now, you see the Fatalis done. There comes Magi's Blessing, not Eye to the Urchin.
Wow. So it's going to be, he wants to negate the CC, so the Fearless Chain. He wants to deal with the best bomb, the Kiss, and or the Mez from Batman. So altogether, it's going to be certainly a good item in all respects, but maybe not quite as aggressive for a defensive item, which is a weird thing to say, as the High to the Arson.
Dignitas finds themselves a tower in the left lane, going to shrink the goal down to 2,200.
Dignitas starting to come back into this one. Divine Ruin picked up on stealth a few minutes ago with his Warlock Sash, so they want to be able to cut down that Aphrodite healing a bit later in the game. You'll see Dare to Care also with the Creeping Curse to become a creepier curse, and then eventually probably the Weakening Curse
definitely
to
the
completely
Weakening
reduce
Curse.
the healing.
They have two Heavenly Agilities, two major healers, the self-healing from Lassus' Blue Stance Power Cleave. They definitely need that Weakening Curse online.
It's, I think, probably important to note here as well that ability items are full up for Dignitas, so no option to build in a Weakening Curse for them to stop that Vamana.
That's true, and it's very surprising to see something like that with how dominant Omega has been with Baby, regardless of what month he's even playing in. He did it at PAX, he did it all through the qualifiers, and he's done it here.
Look at Lassus' build yet again. He's loving this shifter, picking it up on most of his physical junglers. Goes drafting the shifter's quite strong. Taking a look at the Gold Fury. Now Dignitas starting to spot this out. It's getting low. It's in hand range, and down it goes. But in comes Lassus. Finds the right target as well. Chaining down Anister. Spirit Tempest ripping through, not finding much. That man's going to go deep. He wants to find the Gobwa. And Anatoly's going to snipe him down. The fight rages on.
If they let Anister out of that fight, reposition and get back in, that would have been a massacre. But unfortunately for Andy, Anatoly found it. Oh, double fearless! Oh, double kill!
Tier by Lassus combining for tremendous amounts of burst damage. Very, very well set up. And once again, we see Team Dignitas, Zapman, leading the charge, the team covering for him, closing the distance, keeping him alive, and they seem to be at their best when Zapman is playing hyper-aggressive.
Uh-oh, Bard. Uh-oh. He's hot on the way. You see Dare to Care burning down the lane right now, trying to get there as fast as possible, but there's no way in hell that he's going to get there before Team Dignitas finds themselves with a Fire Giant buff.
Oh boy, here it comes. Say goodbye to all your towers. If you are Cognitive Gaming, they have to find a place to fight, but here comes Lassus blinking in. That's going to disrupt the tower defense. They're going to look for kills. Now turning around to take the tower down. Let's take a look at the gold differential. It is just 800 gold now. XP in favor of Team Dignitas. This is their game, ladies and gentlemen. Team Dignitas with their first lead.
I can't believe the comeback they've made into this game. Andenser was so powerful. But in that last fight, he got caught by Lassus. He repositioned, and he was about to lay down the law. But Anatoly realized that his team was going to be fine. They didn't need the healing. The Heavenly Agility was already used. It was an all-or-nothing situation. He went for the snipe. He found it. The team fight was theirs.
Shadow Q with the dual-wielding Aphrodite. Got a Witchblade and a Winged Blade
My
here.
man.
So going for the double swords.
Not to mention the movement speed. He's got 25% on top of the 18% plus the movement speed from the Kiss.
I love the way they're itemizing and drafting Dignitas. They have fully embraced the fact that Zapman is uncontrollable. And they say, okay, look, we're going to stack movement speed, we're going to buy Heavenly Agilities and a bunch of sprints, we're going to draft gods that can cover distance, and we're just going to try to keep you alive because we can't tell you no.
Oh, hey, guys, I need you to follow me into the tower. Like, dude, you're on a chariot. Like, we can't do that.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. So, in the mid lane here, interestingly enough, Team Dignitas not looking to push as 5 with this Fire Giant buff. You see them spread out around the map. More of a, I think a bit of a misplay there. Maybe be applying some pressure with all this added HP.
So we really haven't seen much from Stealth. We haven't seen many ultimates landed outside the early game. We're not seeing major placements of tornadoes. He actually used a lot on the Gold Fury in the last part of the fight. Right there, he'll get some damage, but it's going to get healed up as Aphrodite was able to get that. Look at them trying to hold the leash together.
Blink going to be coming back up for Lassus in about the next 10 seconds. He did use it just a bit before the fight. So, Stealth, you're absolutely right. We haven't seen that much, and I wonder if some of it is the land environment, just people having a bit better reactions to the Spirit Tempest.
It's possible. I mean, it really starts out quite fast. And even with 30 or 40 ping, it means a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Zapman is in this left side lane, crushing the tower, now taking the orange buff, while the rest of Dignitas pushes into the mid lane here. But with those Outgoing Tornadoes and MLC Cell sitting on certainly a sufficient amount of magical power, it's going to be tough for them to push in without just fully tanking the tower. But now Zapman's going to find a lot of damage on the left, and they're just going to keep up this split and force Barracuda to stay here and out of this fight. And a 4v5.
Oh my God. Left lane. Zapman chasing through the tower. Zapman with the boxing match drops Barracuda.
Oh, how does he do it?
Uh-oh.
Oh, Steve.
Oh, Dignitas has Heavenly Agilities, just like you talked about into the back line. We're going to see Zap go in, but he's going to find himself a baby.
This is exactly what Cog needs to do. They cut off the support to Zapman, now left out all alone, but he's still juking Omega. There's the Mez coming out, trying to rally back to his team. Aphrodite ultimate keeps him alive. Team Dignitas still fighting. Shadow Q will fall to Andister. Now on a full retreat is Team Dignitas. Cog's gonna wipe some of these Fire Giant buffs.
And he's still going in, crushing wave, gonna hit one, the best going down here. Gugnir's Smite, Polynomicon not gonna hit. The best looks for the kill, but doesn't find it. In the meantime, Lassus puts himself on a killing spree and will work it, but still, it looks like we're going to have a 3-for-2 in favor of Cognitive.
Yeah, that was a great fight for Cognitive Gaming. They wipe off some of those Fire Giant buffs. They stall out the push. Dignitas actually didn't get very much out of that Fire Giant, unfortunately. The over-aggression there, I think, is the problem. They chose those kills a little bit too much, and they need to convert off of this Fire Giant buff at least one more tower, or it's going to be a wasted opportunity.
3 members right here. We have 3 members of Cog in the mid lane. Barra's still 19, Andy still 19. They're looking for the level 20 mark, whereas only Lassus is 19, not including the supports, of course, both of whom have activated level 17 in 27 minutes, which is actually much higher than we've seen most support players throughout the week.
Oh, it's getting dangerous for Dignitas here. You see how much damage Andy's doing to Lassus. And the thing is that Cog has by far the superior late game team with the Habwa and the Vamana, and they have to be worried if your team Dignitas as Gold Fury falls for Cog. Is Omega here, is the top farm in the game by nearly 1,000 gold on Vamana. How did he get this far ahead?
I don't know. And I mean, right now he's going into the short sword, which means we're more than likely going to see either Rage or Deathbringer come online pretty soon. He's got Magi's Blessing to ensure that he's not going to get stunned out. The Vitalis to ensure that he can keep up. He's got Heartseeker for extra damage. Of course, Boots for penetration. And then he still has the Death Toll to sell for another item. It could be chin size, could be more defense.
It's going to take Dignitas needs to pressure and win this game.
Lord in heaven. Anatoly just took about 80% of his health and almost got killed by the Polynomicon before the Aegis came out. That will not be available for the Fire Giant contention, which looks to be next, given the groupings here. Anatoly goes back to the base.
Oh, Lass's going to take a look at Anderson here, but I'm not sure he does that. Yes, he does. Blue stands fearless, picks it up, and there's a fight raging in the right side lane. Omega in that big baby form. Lass is going to leap away. Of course, the best way to deal with Amana, ignore him and run from him.
And right there, Lass has actually got himself a smooch as well. Healed back a lot of the damage he took. And now it looks like Dignitas is just going to try to contend this. And I don't know how he's going to.
You got it. This comes down to stealth. Can stealth follow up the Spear
Oh,
Tempest?
the baits. Bart, that was a good bait.
Barracuda in a lot of trouble. Baited him in. Down he goes. Spirit Tempest comes out, does his Shadow Q, but it is the Aphrodite support. She's done enough already in this fight. One more birds. Keep Lassus alive. No, is going to fall. Snipe coming through. Not finding a kill, but Omega finds one of his own. Zatman going to man up. Zatman's going to man fight. Down goes Omega. Here's Dignitas, but he's standing in the heel. Zatman turns and burns. Can Dignitas have enough damage? 3 on him. He wants Zatman, but he can't get him. Down will be falling the Odin. What plays by Team Dignitas that bait?
Best taking a lot of damage as well. MLC looks like he's just going to have to let this one go. Doesn't have the health, doesn't have the mana. Andy has respawn. He's going to burn down mid lane, but there's no way for the second time this game that Cog's going to be able to defend this one.
It's going to be a tall task for them. And, you know, they don't have the hand of the gods, so they're going to have to take this one all the way down. There is some time here. Anderson, if he can make his way over and find the Crushing Wave, no, he cannot. Because down will be falling the Fire Giant just like that. And look at Anatoly's build.
Anatoly has opted for Gem of Isolation and Mail of Renewal, making him, on top of the Warlock stash, so he's super tanky, has a ton of utility. With Heavenly Agility, he heals even more. He is basically obnoxious at this point.
You know, he also just has an insane amount of mana with the Warlock stash and Gem of Isolation.
That's true.
You know, just all around the board, just big numbers. Not a lot of protection, but a big health pool, big mana pool. And the Mail of Renewal, of course, to add the extra physical protection, but not much in the way of magic.
I like that he's not building too much health. You see about 850 added, which is a good number given the fact that with healing, he can keep that topped off pretty easily.
So now the question seems to be, can Cognitive Gaming find a way to get back into this game? They have Omega online. They got to take a good fight soon. And Team Dignitas, the key for them here is to make a lot better use out of this Fire Giant buff than they did the last.
So Cog's in a bad spot here because that man is split pushing. And actually Omega, I think Omega's going to see this one happen. The rotation's going to come in. Dare to Care on the front line as we see ML and Barracuda back up towards the Phoenix. We still have tier 2s available, and it looks like Cog's going to jump over and try to defend, but this tier 2 on the left side is going down.
Dignitas has rotated fully now over to this left side lane. In some trouble is Cog. Zatman once again leading the charge, getting healed up and supported by the rest of Team Dignitas. It looks like they're going to maybe take a look at breaking the base here. This minion wave going to come in, but it's going to be tough to push any minions into the tower range with that Ao Guang and losing Ob clear potential.
5 members on 5 members right now, just trying to fight for this Phoenix. You see the Honey coming out, but it's not doing too much. And Dignitas really not too worried about it as the best rotates in. It looks like he actually took a lot of damage and will be just kind of pushed out. Now we're going to have a fight. Dare to Care is too far in. He's forced out. Anatoly with the shot, doing a lot of damage. That man's forced out. Lassus is forced out, and MLC Stealth looking for some space control.
A lot of abilities used by Cog there, though. They're not going to have an easy time defending the next push coming in. That's going to be the key here for Dignitas. Can they find a way to kind of, you know, I guess exploit the fact that both the Spirit Tempest and the Sleeping Giant form were used there?
With the healing, this is giving them such insane push potential. All of Cog had to go back to the base to heal, whereas they're just throwing down Solar Blessings, throwing out birds, and it's keeping them up. Look at that, Shadow Q just tanking. Shots from the Phoenix, shots from Odin, and not really worried about it too much.
Yeah, the 350 health from Wingblade doing work there. Lassus in some trouble, trying to move out of the fight. Not a lot of long-range spells. Zatman picks up Dare to Care as a snipe comes through as well. Healing back up is Shadow Q. Needs to attach to Lassus, but look at this. He's just going to stay on Zatman and keep his Hunter alive, knowing that's a lot of their damage. Not another CC chain from Best to come out. Smoke already used. They're going to just keep sieging.
Yeah, why not? Look at the healing. They're all back at full health again.
Here comes Zatman going deep. He's going to find Barracuda. No fear here. Lawbringer over the top. Lassus gets smacked for his trouble, though. He's going to be falling here.
No way. Oh,
down
he goes down. Shadow Q is so quick.
Totally does find stealth on the back of that, and they get their Phoenix. And Zapman's still alive and churning, so they did spend a lot of time to get that Phoenix, but they did secure it. Now going to be looking for this mid tower, the tier 2. Going to go ahead and backdoor this one down, likely the right side as well. And we haven't checked on this in a while, but the 1,200 gold lead and the 8,000 experience lead now for Team Dignitas.
Luckily for them, though, the 8,000 experience difference is normalized through the level 20s. There is a 1-level difference currently between Dare to Care and Shadow Q, which isn't a huge deal. That's going to give some extra kiss damage, but really not much else. Lunge gets activated for a little bit more, but it doesn't scale super well going into the late game. Really, the level 20 is going to matter. Now, Analyst has opted for Spell Focus, which means we're probably going to see Obsidian Shard. And we have a Magical Pot coming out, meaning he's looking to just push this down.
Yeah, I think they're saying we need you to be able to hunt.
Yeah.
They need them to be able to kill a target or get them so low that they're forced out of the fight. And the problem is that they don't get the kill, it just gets sealed back up right away.
Andy actually just finished the Obsidian Shard. That puts him at 730 magical damage. And
wow.
Habwa is probably the hardest scaling character in the game, period.
Yes, Habwa does tremendously well in the late game, as does the Vamana, and that's really the danger here for Dignitas, is that there is in the back of their minds, there definitely is a timer ticking here for when it's going to be just too much damage.
But they have answers. They have 3 Aegises, 2 Heavenly Agilities, 3 sets of healing, and invulnerability from Aphrodite's ult. That's a lot of control.
If they can stop the crushing wave from wrecking their team, it'll be a very, very good chance that they're able to take team fights pretty easily. Zapman pushing down the left side lane. Already got a Phoenix there, Zap, but he's going to go ahead and push that one into the base. Phoenix is exposed in the mid lane. Right side, only 1 tower remains, but it seems to be the Fire Giant.
Is someone going to defend this?
They haven't started back yet.
Oh, they're looking to fight here. This is a misplay from Cog. I don't think they should be doing this, Bard. Look at Zap.
I think Zap's going to win.
Look at Zap, man.
I don't think they can stop him.
Oh, Barracuda's already down. Zap, the split push master, has the Titan down to half.
Oh, they can't stop him.
Oh, my
They can't
God,
stop
Bard.
him.
Bard.
They can't stop him.
Bard.
Zapman! Team Dignitas takes game number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Zapman with a split push.
Everybody raise your Zap man.
Wow. Unbelievable there. Kong knew they had to commit to the fight. Once they were at the Fire Giant, didn't send anyone back, wanted to go in. Barracuda goes down, no one could stop him.
Zapman is the split push master.
Wow. Speechless. Well, DM, I don't think people really care what we have to say about this. Probably not.
No. Let's head it up to the Alienware Analyst desk with Tranquil and the boys.
Hey, Bart, I just want you guys to know that you are right. Nobody cares. Welcome back up to the Alienware Analyst Desk. My name is Tranquil. I'm sitting here with Drybear, Lionheart, and DJ Pernicus. And we just finished watching Game 1 of the lower bracket finals. What a finish. I'm speechless.
That was a finish. Now, it's not necessarily just that he wins split push. It's the fact that they were kind of pigeonholed into that situation where they had to defend the Titan at the same time as also find the team fight. They had to go defend the Fire Giant. They were split pushed in a way that they had to be in different places. It was more engineered by Dignitas than it was a lax thought by Cognitive.
Yeah, I think we're getting ready to watch the first blood, so somebody can take us through this, Dry, if you want to.
Yeah, let's look at the first blood here. You can see Dare to Care. And Shadowkey decides to go towards the best, coming from the mid lane. Now, smart play, though, and just trying to... I feel like he was just trying to dodge too much here. When he goes up on the lunge, you'll see him go for the jump in place. Shadowkey tries to dodge, but it's too little, too late. The lunge area of effect is pretty large, and it's very difficult to try and get out of that with the low movement speed early on.
Yeah, and one of the things that you notice about the lane, the dual lane for Team Dignitas actually really struggled early on, that matchup, and in that particular instance, there was a split. We saw other splits also where they weren't staying together. So the best comes in, try and make up for it, but they get bullied. And Aphrodite and Apollo just didn't seem to do very good against Odin and AMC in the early game.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Aphrodite, and what people really noticed when she first came out and started playing her in the support role, is that unlike other tanks, you can focus her in the other stage of the lane. She's bullyable. You can just jump on Aphrodite and kill her instead of the Hunter because she's so squishy early on. Now, you have the heal potential, but when you kind of put her in open field like that, especially against an Odin who's known for being highly aggressive in the laning phase, it doesn't always work out.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about how strong auto-attacking bruisers are and how the Vamana pick is becoming more prevalent, but there's another side of that. There's the healers, right? And we saw that when my team played COG earlier, and this looked really similar. We saw a Tyr instead of a Chalk, which is, he's not auto-attack based, but he's very, very strong, and he had a Ra healing him, he had an Aphrodite healing him, and he seemed almost invincible the entire game.
Yeah, and it looked bad for Dig early on, and you made a comment that you thought it was because of their early jungle strategy, and I want you to kind of elaborate on what you meant by that.
Yeah, we saw Dig take an aggressive approach to the first game. They invaded on the red buff to try to steal Endinster's red buff. He was smart, he backed up, he did not let the steal occur, and instead of going over and then proceeding to steal the blue buff, they just simply walked back to lane. And what that did was it put him 2 creep camps behind in experience, and later down the road, Lassus actually got his red stolen as well. So it put him very far behind. Not only was the duo lane behind, the jungler was behind, the solo was behind, but they did have a good team comp for the late game, and we saw him really shine.
Yeah, we know Endinster really took off that game in the early stages, dropping numerous amounts of damage. And, you know, Habwa can scale really quickly. You see Zapman on screen. Favorite God AMC won all LAN events in Smite and looking to continue that today. 67% win. Of course, Dignitas only made it to the grand finals once in the weeks leading up to this tournament here. 190 kills versus 277 assists overall, playing Apollo this last match.
You gotta say, Zapman is such an outstanding player because they did have a rough early laning phase that a lot of people would get on tilt or would have a tough time coming back from that, and they were able to do that. Take a look here at the fight going on right now. Dare to Care in the middle there, and Zapman the entire time is split pushing all the way back to the base. He's damaging the Titan right now while they're still fighting over the Fire Giant. Nobody knows he's there. Look at this. This is the sustain DJ Pernicus was talking about. Lassus in the front lines was getting Ra here, Aphrodite here, and all the while, Zapman taking down the Titan.
Yeah, this is a really great play here by Zapman. Really, it's the essence of Apollo when he first came out. I remember when Apollo came out, everyone's saying he's not going to fit as a hunter. He doesn't really have the kind of kit you'd expect. Damage a little bit low, attack speed doesn't really make sense. And, you know, I think the biggest complaint in the beginning was the fact that he had to get close to mesmerize. And why would a hunter want to be close? And then all of a sudden, people realize he can fly.
Yeah.
Let's just go split push. Let's pull them over, and when they have to go in between and they can't travel as fast as you can, then you force them across the map and you go to a Fire Giant, or vice versa. They can do the Fire Giant, you can do the Titan.
And that's one of the signature things, too. You've seen it a number of times in the Smite launch tournament with Team Dignitas. Is they use that flying very well. So a lot of times, there'll be a rotation, 2-man, 3-man fight, and almost every time, whether it's necessary or not, just to be safe, you'll see Zapman coming in from the skies, raining down. So they always have that backup. They're always able to turn the numbers at least one more in their favor.
Yeah, you really talked about the healing potential, both of you, earlier on. And I think the Aphrodite ult was a big pick. You talked a lot about this in the picking stage, Lionheart, is the fact that with that duration of invulnerability, you have big bursts. You have Algwong's Spirit's Tempest. You have Habwa's Crushing Wave. You have a lot of burst damage coming out from Cognitive, and we saw it time and time again where Shadowq, who's such an intelligent player, would recognize when that big burst was coming and saving whoever he was attached to with that kit, whether it be Lassus or Zapman most often.
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. And you know those heals are the basic 3 abilities, right? Whereas the burst you were talking about is an ultimate. So if they fail to kill someone with their ultimate and the exchange is just a simple ability, they have no way to take a fight, 30 seconds later, 45 seconds later. They have to wait minutes for those ultimates to come back up to even have a chance to kill someone.
We actually saw that at the Phoenix on the drive over on the left-hand lane near the end game where there was an engagement and all the big ultimates were used by Cognitive Gaming, and all Dignitas did was go back, sit under the heels, and all of a sudden they're back to full health, and Cog has nothing to hold the front line, and they lost the Phoenix on the left-hand side because of that, and they lost that engagement as well. Even though there were multiple splits, you saw them just going back, continually healing up, and when the big cards are down, and they don't have them anymore, they're fine with diving the Phoenix, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, of course, we also had the earliest start of the late start for Divine Ruin for Algwong from MLC Stealth. And of course, he sold his early tiny trinket to get rid of that and pick up the Divine Ruin. But at that point, it was too little, too late. I mean, you have Lovebirds, you have Solar Blessing, and of course, you still have the Guard Stance, Power Cleave from Tyr. They're all very durable. And we saw so many times where Lassus could jump in, do tons of damage, switch to guard stance, get that cleave up, and heal some right back up, and it bridges the gap enough for Shadow Q to show up and heal, for the rotation for Ra to come over and heal, and that's all they needed.
Yeah.
Just got to look a little bit at the synergy that came out in the picks and bans. And when we were looking back, and I'm seeing, Cognitive Gaming, they draft Odin, they draft Famata, they draft AMC, and I'm looking at where's kind of the synergy with Odin where you're going to hit these big ultimates or where you're going to get this large AoE lockout. And there isn't a large AoE lockout. There's these big hitters, right? Hebo's ultimate, Ao Kuang's ultimate, but they don't have anybody locked down. And so I think 4 of the last 5 fights we saw Ao Kuang's ultimate hit nobody because they couldn't hold them in place. So they have this large AoE where people are getting stuck, but they're not really working together well to do anything with it. At the same time, you have Vamana in the back line, and he seemed to be having trouble too in terms of deciding when it was appropriate to turn into the big baby and which target to rush down.
Yeah, and speaking of that big baby, it looks like he was a little uncomfortable on it. We saw him play it a lot in tournaments in the past, but coming up to the 100K, he was all about the mages. He was all about, the characters he picked yesterday. There was never a Vamana, and today he did pick the Vamana. He built items that were much different than Game Hunter, and he played a lot different than Game Hunter. We talked about how many times he went into big baby form and he was getting ready to auto attack someone, but they had their dash up, they had their jump up, they had their inactive that would have saved their lives. The timing was just off, and the build was questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we had a lot of control there with the early start on the lack of durability from Vamana, like you were talking about. I mean, he had the Heartseeker, he had the early damage, and once he had improperly used the timing of his ultimate, popped it early, and then nothing happened, full disengage from Dignitas, and credit goes to them for that. He had nothing left, and because he had no inherent durability in his build, he had no Height of the Urchin, he had no Magi's Blessing, and nothing on top of that. It was all damage. He's basically putting everything onto his ultimate, and it's kind of like the same thing with Ao Kuang as well as the Habwa ultimate. Once it's down, you don't have anything.
Can I also say just real quick, I know we talked a lot about the different picks, and we gave Zapman a lot of credit, but the momentum really shifted, I think, a lot also with Lazis. Lazis made huge plays during that game, blinking in, locking down multiple targets with Tyr, and I think that Fearless really helped their synergy come together to be able to hit those big ultimates, the Raw ultimate, or the Agni lockdown, or to have Apollo raid down on multiple people. I mean, there's a lot of times where he was in the front line, blinking in, and that kind of drive was huge for the team to be able to turn the momentum back in their favor, because they were down by quite a bit in the early game.
Sure.
Yeah, talking about things like organization, and team synergy, we saw around the 15-minute mark, the game got a little sloppy, And in sports, we talk about how, if you're up, 2 goals to none, you want to tighten the defense, right? And you want to make it so that the other team has no chance of scoring and coming back. But it appeared like the opposite was happening. The game became much more open. Kills were happening in multiple lanes. Random fights were occurring, not over objectives. And that's not what COG wanted to do, and that's exactly what Dignitas did want to do.
Right.
So we really got to see their healers shine in those situations, because those random skirmishes, they just didn't have the ability to counter the sustain.
Yeah, and we'll see if Cognitive Gaming can come back in Game 2. We're getting ready to send it back down to the casters. Bart, DM, take it away.
Welcome back to Atlanta, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for game number 2, Cognitive Gaming versus Team Dignitas. And Big Dig is up 1-0.
Oh, you did it.
I had to.
Oh,
Give me
man.
1.
I hope you guys enjoyed the last game. It kind of functioned as a trailer for the upcoming PvE expansion for Smite. As that man
right.
shows his way down the left lane.
Zapman known for his tower damage, his minion damage, his split push, and now his dive to the Titan.
And in that situation, he could have went in, and if they did back, he could just ult to the Fire Giant. That was the biggest win-win situation I think I've ever seen a team put another team in. It's incredible.
It's amazing that extended siege at the left side Phoenix ended up being the key to victory. Because it seemed like maybe a bit of, that was maybe a bright spot for COG. They held Dig out for about, 3.5, 4 minutes, maybe
it was a long
6
time.
waves before they were able to actually get in and break that Phoenix, but ends up being the key to victory.
Yeah, the whole time, the healing and the constant sustain that Anatoly and Shadow Q and Lassus had allowed them to just zerg it down. Just never stop. Just keep pushing in.
So you got to wonder if maybe something like Aphrodite's in Omega's God Pool, and that's something that COG will look to counterpick, because I don't think they can ban her. They
We
can't
also
afford it.
saw a Divine Ruin, which
Yes.
I loved, but they wouldn't let him anywhere near him. Every time Stealth walked in, he died.
That's right. The problem wasn't they needed to reduce the healing. The problem was they needed to stop the healing. They needed to be able to kill and burst Anatoly. I'm sorry, Shadow Q, but they weren't able to find him with all the move speed, all the
Either
HP.
one of them, really.
Either one would have been fine, but I think Shadow Q really the big problem there. The single target heal was huge in that game.
So for game 2, what do you think we're going to see differently from COG? Their early game went amazing, and as we get into the picks and bans, you have to think they're going to switch their strategy up aside from let's not let anyone play Nemesis.
Doesn't look like it, DM, because no one's going to be playing Nemesis today. She is banned.
Oh, there she goes. Next up, I imagine Odin or Chalk.
There he does go down. Now we get to see if it is going to be a respect ban coming out. My guess, Dignitas here, also worth it to note, will be the second pick, second ban. COG did elect to take first pick, first ban again after that loss.
And before Aphrodite?
I don't think they can ban Aphrodite.
At PAX Prime, we saw the Afro ban come out, and it was the biggest deal in the entire world, and they've been talking for a long time now.
4 seconds.
What are we going to see?
Oh, DM.
No way.
Oh,
no.
DM. They did it. Bang
Shadow
out
Q did
Aphrodite.
He looked me straight in the face today. He goes, they're going to ban Afro.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. I mean, Aphrodite banned out. This opens up a lot of gods. The thing for Dignitas here now is finding the right god to ban that gives them the strongest 1-2 pick when they get their picking phase. So they want to force Cognitive to do something. My guess here is they're going to leave open Zeus.
Leave Zeus and Odin open. Pick one or the other.
Exactly. They're going to leave Zeus and Odin open.
Or give them Odin.
Or just give them Odin. Okay, so I'm a little surprised. Maybe it's just best not really wanting to play the Zeus here, saying, look, guys, I don't love it. But yeah, Odin wasn't a problem in the last game.
No, he was doing great, in my opinion, but he didn't really force anything in the end game. In fact, the one, I think the big turning point was the Gold Fury steal.
Oh, look what they're going to pick up on the back of that. It's a Tyr and a Freya. Team Dignitas getting their core right away.
That's going to hurt.
That's really hard to deal with. I wonder if they're going to draft, this similar style to what we saw before, where you're going to see probably a Sun Wukong drafted here, because Odin already on the board for COG. They'd have to put him in the jungle or put Wukong into the soul lane to kind of keep it away from Dignitas.
Well, against Tyr, I mean, you could at least know that you're not going to die.
That's true, yeah. But, I think if Dig is able to pick up Sun Wukong here in this draft.
Oh, no. That would be bad.
It would be insane, because the problem here is going to be they're going to have those 2 damage immune ultimates again. They'll just have Zapman going nuts. And it looks like COG is taking a look at Muzen here, and they're going to go ahead and lock it in. So Muzen, Agni, rounding out the first 3 picks for Cognitive. Dignitas back onto them, and you got to think that they're going to pick up, probably Ra Apollo.
Well, there's the Ra. That was quick, and if they want to leave Anatoly's pick open to last, go for the counter pick. This has to. Oh,
there it is.
Sun Wukong.
There it is. So they are building themselves the Team Dignitas Smite launch tournament style of team. This is something that they have pioneered here and really only here, and it looks like they are ready to go. I mean, they've got it lined up once again.
Though I do like the Agni pick with the Odin a little bit better than I enjoyed the Alquang, because raining bombs inside of the Ring of Spears, that can do a lot of damage and turn team fights very quickly. There's the baby again.
Well, it looks like COG is pretty happy with their lineup in the last game. They just switch out the Agni for the Alquang. Going to run it back here. Dignitas, similar. They're going to be giving up the Aphrodite for the Sun Wukong. It's probably stronger than Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Aphrodite, of course, has the healing potential, which Wukong does not have for other players. But Sun Wukong, generally speaking, a much more kind of dominating support.
I think this plays really well to the balance of the game. We've seen Zeus taken out a lot, Shock, Nemesis, and Odin, but after that, we've seen a lot of gods kind of slip through and work their way in. Aphrodite probably has the lowest pick rate of any god played in the tournament, and now she's up there on the ban list.
That's right, yeah, and that is all on the back of Shadow Q, but you got to think they're banning that because they don't want to deal with Zapman being able to dive that far and get out so many times that Aphrodite ultimate.
Teamwork wins games.
That's absolutely
and
right.
Wards win games, and Zeus wins games.
Wards win wars.
Yeah.
That's what Wards do, so. A best-of-3 series here could be wrapping up with this game. It's going to be game number 2 between Cognitive Gaming and Team Dignitas. Winner goes on to face TSM in the grand finals. Loser goes on to watch from the stands.
That's harsh.
It's a tough life.
Third place is a rough life. There's a very, very big difference in the prizes from 3 to 1, so you got to know both of these teams are going in hungry. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think Dig is going to rush this down. COG's probably going to be a little emotional after that loss. They had a 6K lead at one point. It hovered between 5 and 6 or 7 times. And then just little by little, it was whittled down over and over until Dig was in the lead, Fire Giant after Fire Giant. That was GG.
There they are, ladies and gentlemen, Team Dignitas and Team Cognitive Gaming. And we are in the map ready to go with this best-of-3. It is going to be Team Cognitive Gaming. They are the blue team, from the bottom side of your mini-map, left side of your spectator UI, they are Anderster in the jungle once again as Habwa, Dare to Care and Barracuda combining for the Odin and Muzenkop duo lane, Omega in the solo lane as Vamana, and MLC Stealth in the mid lane as Agni.
They're going to be going up against the second seed coming out against the North American qualifiers. Fourth seed overall and fan favorite at LAN, Team Dignitas. Zapman going to be playing Apollo once again, going with Shadow Q on Sun Wukong. We're going to have the best go mid lane with Ra. Anatoly has Tyr, the Lawbringer, for the solo, and Lassus has found himself with a Freya pick in the jungle.
Yeah, it's so scary if you're cognitive in this game. Last game, everything went right for you in terms of your Hubwa jungle.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're going to say, okay, we're going to draft Hubwa, the most important thing for our team is that he just gets any kind of farm, isn't dying a bunch, and we should win.
I'm really surprised to see them reprise that
That's
role,
right,
honestly.
and you see it work, and then they couldn't, you know, secure it and lock that win down, and now they have Lassus on Freya over for Team Dignitas. They can stand toe-to-toe with the Hubwa.
Seriously, I mean, this can be really dangerous for Andy here. Even with that early lead, he didn't really amount to much in the end game, thanks to Anatoly's snipe at the Gold Fury fight. Once that got shut down there, and they were able to get bigger and get their healing up and get their Aegis finished, it allowed them to just kind of spiral, and Andy couldn't keep up.
Yeah, he had a hard time there dealing with it. Omega going to be rushing that Ankh, it looks like here with the Smithy's Hammer. The physical protection and health already for that solo lane. He will be facing off against Anatoly's Tyr, so once again a slugfest over in the right side lane.
Anasur on the bottom going to be taking the solo red. Mid-camps have been taken down. Again, we see Dignitas doing this not mid-camp start. It's very strange.
Yeah, they seem to be more interested in securing, you know, the buff camps, make sure that they don't get invaded on, or rather don't get kind of caught out with a late rotation to the lane and maybe walk into a water spout, into water cannon combination. And it's just so easy to get killed by Hubwa in the early stages of the game. When he's level 2, he's one of the more dangerous gods.
So, right side, we're going to see maybe a level up here. No, nothing just yet. Check this out, Bart. You see this?
Yeah. Last going to go ahead and pull the wave away and try to, you know, make some room in the mid lane.
I was more looking at the fact that we just saw Zapman and Shadow Q jump into the jungle and pick off the speed buff.
Wow, they were able to drop that?
Yeah. Level 2.
So now you're going to have a speed buff on Wukong you can contend with. That means that, you know, those transformations and his ability to harass with Jingle Bang and get in and out is really going to be quite strong. But here, you know, it's a different story in this lane now that you have the Odin and no Aphrodite to heal off the lunge damage. You can see Zapman probably going to need to pick up a Death Scroll or you know, maybe an earlier Draining Blade than normally he would prefer.
Right now, everyone level 3 over in the duo lane. We see the Honey come out, but the Jingu Bang and Lunge do some damage. Actually, Lunge missed that time. Dare to Care has been using it a lot. 140, again, damage at level 1 ensures that it's a really good poke early on.
Yeah, this is going to be a lane that COG can bully for some time. Of course, that only goes so far because, you know, any kind of misstep and Zapman's going to go ahead and dive that and look for the kill. So maybe Cognitive here needs to be looking to kind of bait in that over-aggression. They get Dare to Care back behind Zapman now. He's trying to avoid the Gungnir's Might. Doesn't take the lunge damage. Dashing back out now is the Zapman. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is a much, much better lane for Cognitive than it is for Team Dignitas, given the strat that COG is trying to run and trying to execute.
What is Dig doing here? They're looking for contention. She misses the banish, and she is knocked up. This could be a kill here. Lass in a lot of trouble, but he will escape with under half his health. Left camp, not sure if that went to Dignitas or COG. Actually, it looks like it did go to Dig.
Yeah, so Dig picks up, left side. Lassus maybe snipes one of the ones to the right there. Not entirely sure if he was able to secure it, but we are underway here, guys. 2 minutes and 45 seconds in. We haven't talked much about the solo lane yet, but it is going to be Tyr versus Vamana here once again. Likely a farm lane, fairly stagnant. Both of these gods have a lot of kill potential, just not on each other.
So now level 5 is going to have that crushing wave online, increasing his gank potential by a ton. So all of these lanes are going to have to be very weary now of Annister as he begins to rotate around the map.
Yeah, you know, but the good news for Dignitas here is that, you know, when Anderson starts to move around and the Hubwa starts to get very active, they can pull Anatoly, and Tyr can counter-initiate that Hubwa damage pretty nicely and control the rest of the team so they can just go ahead and pick off the River God.
I think this time the best is going to be much more gankable, though, without Path of Flames. So Megatron using his ultimate here to get some of his health back, sustain himself in lane. and ensure that he can stick around and keep the 1-for-1 with Anatoly.
Yeah, you know, pretty standard Vamana style. You know, maybe would have preferred to see that with the wave there. The minion hits do count towards his the kind of passive side of Sleeping Giant, which is that it extends the duration depending on the number of hits you take. But without any kind of physical mitigation at this point, outside of the Smithy's Hammer, I think he would have taken probably more damage than it was worth.
And he's going to get caught out here as Lassus finds himself on the receiving end of a water spout. Both junglers will work their way back over, it looks like. Instead, we're going to see Andy kind of hover a bit. Zapman and Shadowq are moving forward, looking for a chance to fight. Dare to Care is going to blink in, catch both. One ult coming out already. Zap's been put very low. 2 ults for 1 right there. A small win in the book for Cognitive.
4 minutes and 20 seconds into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Still no Logitech first blood yet in this game. Both teams playing this one pretty tight, pretty close to the chest here. No one wanting to make the first mistake.
Right here on the right side, it looks like we're... Oh, wait, no steal coming out from Stealth. Last is going to pick up the right camp, rather. Oh, crushing wave to the best gun near Smite, and a water spout. Welcome to Logitech's first blood of Game 2.
Yeah, just on cue there, they find the angle for Anister, and well-placed crushing wave. Best didn't have a lot of room to wiggle there, unable to avoid it, even with the sprint already up on him. You know, the question here now is, will he be investing into that Aegis Amulet quick and early, or will it be, you know, try to cut it lean, finish off that Heavenly Agility, and just continue to farm?
I think either one will definitely serve a better purpose than not having either.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right now he needs to spend money on defense, less money on damage. You see him picking up Shoes of Focus for some cooldown reduction. But with that, no amount of cooldowns would have helped him in that last engagement.
Over in the solo lane, Anatoly does have a, you know, he's actually bullying the Vamana around a bit in this early game. Has a small experience advantage, you know, sitting on the mana and health advantage right now. Omega used the ultimate earlier to heal up, and you know, at the end of the day, though, this is still pretty much a split. Taking a look at the farm, Toly up by about 200 gold.
I love how Toly is continuously pushing Omega to the tower, and Omega has lost a lot of gold here. He was forced to use his ultimate. I mean, Hand of the Gods right there was just used to clear the wave, whereas we see Anatoly freely rotating around the map, having no fear thanks to the ward coverage his team provided him. But with those
Speed
wards
buff on the left side
out,
of the map, DM looks like Dignitas. No, they are going to run. Wow, full out retreat there. They took a peek around the corner and
tried to
saw
do it
the
again.
Habwa. Yeah.
They try to steal that buff again.
They did.
This time, though, it does go to Stealth.
Yeah, still able to secure that one.
The best. Every
Always
single
with
time
that.
someone comes into the mid lane through a ward, the best hits them with a spell over the wall. Every single time. Water spouts, rain fires, and right there the Celestial Beam as Andy takes a third of his health for even peeking.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the signature here of the best as a mid laner is his harass on players trying to rotate in for ganks or for positional advantage. Left side mid camp is going to be going to Cognitive Gaming, just like that. Right side not up just yet. There they come. Last is going to go ahead and clean those up for Team Dignitas. Best going to bring a lane minion with him as well, and then end him in the jungle. Actually, that was stolen. Last is not pulling it out sufficiently, and Meteors pick it up.
Cognitive again going to be, I guess, on the receiving end. Evan early lead, 1,700 experience on top of 1,000 gold. But we saw them in a very good situation last time, and Dignitas did a great job in the mid-game, stealing away the gold Fury and spiraling from there to ensure that they did get the victory.
Totally showing us something we haven't seen in a long time here. I don't think yet in this tournament. It's going to be Ninja Tabi, the cooldown reduction boots for the Warrior here, picked up for this tier.
I think this is going to be more of a bruiser build then. Although they do have Shadowq with Warrior Tabi as well, they have a lot of damage potential. Anatoly jumps the wrong way with the water spout as Wisp. Water Cannon, Armored Umbrella. Omegatron finds himself with second blood.
Yeah, that's the danger of going those cooldown reduction boots on that tier, is that he takes a lot of damage from the Vamana Umbrella. The Armored Umbrella, the cone attack there. You saw, I think, for about 380, 400 damage, and it was too much without any mitigation for him to survive through. And, you know, especially with that Habwa there, I expect to see the Height of the Urchin up and running on him as soon as possible.
I think Zapman has the fastest reaction time mesmerizes. He just mesmerized Dare to Care out of Gungnir's Smite while trying to clear a creep wave with no support at all. Just does it super quick, turns his sights to Dare to Care, forces him to run back, and now Dare is sitting here taking creep damage, waiting for Barracuda to try to get back here with his Heartseeker to get some stacks.
Yeah, stacks are up and running for Zapman already. He did rush that Heartseeker. Barracuda picked up a Death's Toll on his way there. So it's a bit of a damage advantage right now to Zapman. Speaking of it in direct terms, 75 physical power for Apollo. Muzen sitting on 60, so 15 additional damage per in-hand attack for the Apollo right now.
I mean, both of them right now are going to be hitting pretty hard. There is penetration. Oh, goes for the snipe, doesn't find it. That means the best is not going to have his ultimate available. We still have a few seconds left. There it is. They're going to be able to get camp for camp here, but it looks like Cog's ready to go.
Oh, they want to fight Rain coming out. They knock out the Best. Shadow Q in some trouble as well. Best will be falling here. Shadow Q's decoy out, trying to zone them out. Crushing wave comes through. Andy.
What was the crushing wave on the decoy? Anister's in a bad spot here, and there comes Zapman. Misplay from Andy's going to drop that one right down.
I think the Dignitas is probably pretty comfortable with that trade of gods. We can lose our Ra. Ra does not require as much farm to be effective. He can transition very easily into a support-style role, bringing burst damage, giving skill shots. I think they're probably not too thrilled, however, about having to rotate Zapman in. It does pick him up and assist, but they're going to take a lot of tower damage in this left side lane.
I also want to note here that Andy has opted into the Ward Stone, which is going to eventually build into Void Stone, giving him extra protections from magic, magical damage, and penetration, which will lend well against both Lassus and the Best.
I think that's just a direct reaction to getting chunked by that Ra beam rotating into the mid lane.
That or maybe the way that he got handled last game.
That's right, but I mean, I think that it's just not. Why buy defensive items on Hubwa?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, you're still going to die.
Right.
You're just going to die a little bit slower. So why not go all glass cannon? It's my opinion on that. We'll see what works out for him here. I mean, we could be wrong. We could see him kind of barely sustaining through fights, but I think, like the little bit of tankiness build on Hubwa a bit if they had some core healing on their team. Something like the Ra that was going to be farmed up and sitting in the front lines with the Hubwa and able to provide the healing that, the extra mitigation would have allowed.
Dare to Care scared him away with the Hand of the Gods. Blue buff reset on the top side as that man rotates in to try to defend us against Dare. You can see Dare's coming in. No, I don't think Zapman's going to be able to get out of this one. Knock up, he's slowed, big hit, he jumps away, lunge is going to miss. Zapman narrowly escapes again. How
does he do it, getting out of
alcohol.
A very, very sticky situation?
You asked me how he did it. It's alcohol.
Alcohol, that's how he does it. The pre-game rituals, ladies and gentlemen, coming into full effect here. Zapman playing lights out today. Looks like Team Dignitas is hungry for this win. Cognitive Gaming, however, they are looking much more aggressive in this game, and I'd love to see this out of them with their picks. I think they're playing quite a bit better than they did in the last game.
I think Andy's on tilt right now. That is the second time I have seen him miss a water spout on the mid camp. Or not water spout, I'm sorry, water cannon.
He finds a good water spout onto the Best. Their crushing wave going through as well. Do they have the damage? They do indeed. As Stealth rains down the fire, picking up a kill onto the Best. It is 4 kills to 1 in favor of Cog. They're sitting on a pretty healthy gold difference as well. 2,300 gold, 4,000 experience really being the big number there.
Look at Omega right now. Look at Omega's positioning in the mid lane to ensure that Dignitas had no chance to rotate into the Gold Fury. We do see across the sky where, he's going to have to back off here. If he goes in, it will spell curtains.
Yeah, looking to pick off anybody that he could to try to make it happen. But yeah, as you mentioned, that Vamana positioning is holding them out of their ability to rotate. But it does leave open the tower to Anatoly, who gets a nice chunk of damage on it. Can pretty much rotate in and backdoor that at will.
I'm surprised he didn't just stick around and finish that one up. But it was probably a good call. Better safe than sorry.
That's right. I mean, it's going to be free and easy to pick up at any point. If they leave it up till the team fight stage, very easy for Zapman to rotate over to that lane and simply auto attack at one time.
So right now, Cog 4,000 gold in the lead. Once again, this is something we've seen almost repeatedly. And last time we saw Dignitas make a comeback. That's going to be their first push towards that as we do see the right tower go down. That will be the first of 12 towers to be removed, and they are now 2,700 gold behind. It was a big jump for them, but Anatoly will not be allowed to escape just yet.
But, at the end of the day here, I mean, both of these teams scale fairly well into the late game. Lassus and Zapman bring a lot to the table between the Freya and the Apollo in the later stages of this game. Anatoly getting dove a bit here under tower, but I don't think they're going to move all the way in. Looks like Cog is hungry for a solo late tower of their own. But yeah, I mean, as this game continues to progress on, you got to once again, the Vamana and Hubwa in the hyper late game. You can't really ever count them out.
Andy getting hit. Oh, crushing wave as an escape on the right side. I really thought he was going to go in there.
Now, he doesn't want to die to that fray. They don't want to feed Lasses. I think they know that if they let Lasses get a bit ahead or even stay even with the Hubwa, it's going to be pretty easy to zone him out. The Valkyrie's Discretion bombs coming down can just chunk through that Hubwa with sufficient magical power. And if Lasses gets a couple levels and a couple items ahead, it'll be pretty much the end of the story for Anderson being able to engage in the fights.
Looks like Zapman will be defended here in his side. He's going to use his ultimate to try to work his way back, but Barracuda has a chance to take this tower before Zap can react with a full creep wave. Zap will not have the advantage going in. He will not jump directly into Barracuda, despite what history usually dictates.
Yeah, he's going to play this one a little bit safer, and smart that he does. He can't eat that full creep wave, plus the damage from the B, and maybe a stinger as well coming out, but it looks like they're still engaging. Over on the right side is the best. Well, they call him the best for a reason.
Nails that over a wall. Gonna take him down. Dare to Care sent back to the base for his first death. Still level 12 here, tied up with Shadow Q. Shadow Q sitting only at 6,200 gold, a little bit shy, whereas we see Dare to Care procking right now over 7K.
You know, I think that that's a maybe a more important kill than it looks on paper. Best sitting at 0-3 before that kill comes out, probably getting a little bit frustrated, dove under his mid tower a few times, finds a big snipe skill shot coming out. And it probably gets the blood flowing a little bit. He's probably feeling himself a little bit on that.
Yeah, definitely. All of them are, I mean, this is what Dig does. They try to just get themselves out of the laning phase. This is not where they shine. They shine in the mid game with steals, kill potential with teamwork, wards, especially from Anatolian Shadow Q. Left lane, Zapman dives in, but Barracuda answers back with a sprint, starts pushing Shadow Q with the body blocks, forced to help in the 2v1.
Here comes Dare to Care. He's going to blink in. He's going to find Gungears, but Zapman's going to mez it out and run away. Shadow Q now the one they're going to look to engage on, but fairly tanky at this point is the Sun Wukong. Has Iron Barrel up and running at least, plus his passive, so he should be able to bounce away to victory there as you see Shadow Q have a little bit of a jump.
The best activated sprint right there. He's trying to get away. There's a dive, sprint, water cannon, combat blink.
That is what that kill leads to. He has the gold to just invest into a combat blink. As his Void Stone running is, you know, a little bit of mitigation from that Hubwa. And now it looks like Kog is going to swarm here. They're going to put some pressure on the left side of the map. Already have the tier 1 down. They're going to steal the blue buff. Over the wall comes Dare to Care. They're going to look for Zapman. He's going to try to channel this ultimate. Not in time. Stinger coming through with the Flame Wave. Down goes Zapman. Cognitive, they don't have a gold for you to go to, but they do have a tier 2 on the left side that they're going to look to engage on. Dare to Care zoning out in the front lines, but without an ultimate, not too scary in terms of kill potential. Here comes Lassus. This is where he really needs to shine. Has been in the jungle. We haven't called his name yet. Not able to defend the tower, DM.
This is where in ranked you start yelling at your team saying, why is there 4 people in my lane?
Right. Nobody called missing, really. But let's take a moment here to talk about Frey in the jungle.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's Lassus.
That's right, but they're not really getting anything out of this yet.
Not yet.
I mean,
think
Vanish
that's
into
what
Ross
Lassus
Knight.
does.
Vanish into Ross Knight, right?
Oh.
That is a guaranteed hit if timed properly. And they haven't really even seen Lassus rotate in yet, so not entirely sure exactly what the plan is here for Dignitas. Like it kind of seems like they're biding their time, waiting for a good fight. But when are they going to find it? Time is starting to run out. Lassus runs in, gets in a lot of trouble, forcing Aegis into his ultimate. But it's a big fearless chain from Anatoly. Backside of his fight, though, crushing wave comes through. Down goes Tier. Snipe coming out, and Cog looks very strong in this game.
Yeah, no answer from that time. The best unable to find the snipe target he was looking for, and Cog's going to find themselves with a kill, and the Gold Fury respawns, which means they will have the advantage working into this fight. No tier Lawbringer, no Fearless for the control, and Dare to Care looks like he's going to be ready to push this pretty soon.
This Aphrodite ban seems to be pretty effective right now against Team Dignitas. They look like they don't really know exactly what they want to do here.
I'm not really sure what they want to do here either. I mean, looking at the map right now, the jungle's kind of picked clean, a few things about to respawn, but nothing super necessary for contention. The only thing right now that they're really worried about, we have a mid-tower, critical health, and of course the Gold Fury.
Now, the team's kind of looking at each other on either side of the Gold Fury. Shadow Q going to spot this out now. It's getting down to about 3/4 health, now down to about 60%, starting to get towards 50. I don't think Dignitas can rally in time to this one. DM, there's the ring coming out. Yep, that's going to secure this easy peasy. It does leave Anderson in an awkward situation, but he is able to get out of there A-OK now. Dignitas trying to pile in on stealth. Last is going to find some damage. Shadow Q up in the somersault cloud. Snipe coming through, doesn't find its target. and Dignitas going to continue raging forward. Zapman, big play hunting, not going to find MLC stealth. He turns the corner.
Escaped again. Zapman. Shadow Q finds Dare to Care as well. So that looks like overall we're going to find ourselves for a 0-for-1 in favor of Dignitas, of course, dropping a kill before that. And Cog does manage to find the Gold Fury, so that's definitely still a win. But there are 5 people in the mid lane. Where is Team Dignitas going?
This looks like the show match yesterday where they just ran through the jungle and killed me.
Seriously, where are they going?
I think they're gonna hide just on the other side of this wall and look to kill me. I think that's what's gonna happen.
If you die 10 times, you're fired, don't forget. Oh, we got a blink.
Anatoly blinking in, but he realizes very quickly that a fearless chain on Vomana there isn't going to solve too much, so they're going to go ahead and fall back. No target acquired for Team Dignitas.
Also, no experience acquired as well, as the mid lane lost a wave of experience, and the right lane lost a wave of experience. I'm very surprised to see Team Dignitas not going for the farm.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, this is a little bit uncharacteristic of them. And look at Tolly now. Tolly's built the Height of the Urchin and now another cloak. So they're tanking up. And that's what we've seen really be favored for the solo lane tier. Just very, very tanky.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what Anatoly likes to do. He likes to put himself in danger. He likes to bait. He likes to control. He's not always looking for kills. That's why they have Zapman. Zapman's the guy that runs in blind and tries to kill all 5 people by himself at the same time.
And so Anatoly likes to put himself into danger and initiate, and that's somehow different than Zapman.
Hear the cheers in the crowd for Zap and his overly aggressive play, but you can't take it away from them. It has been working very well so far.
Yeah, but this game, it's been Cognitive's game. They've been controlling it very, very nicely here. Dare to Care doing a good job putting pressure around the map. I think the core difference here. Anderster also off to a fairly good start. Not as good as last game, but his farm is pretty nice. And really, it's a pretty healthy, about 1,000 gold advantage across the board for the cores of Cognitive Gaming over what Team Dignitas has, and that, it's translating to a 6,500 total gold lead. This is actually, the game feels pretty close because it's actually quite a bit in favor of Cog.
Oh, tower goes down. Shadow goes into bird form or Dark Lord hover form. That's all the forms. I don't know.
Somersault Cloud.
No, it was the bird.
Oh, in the bird form. Oh, yeah.
He's the Dark Lord, though, of possibly the Sith.
Raging Demon, I think they call it.
Yeah, Raging Demon. I'm going to call it that. Good stuff, Bart. Topical references. So, yeah, this, like you were saying, feels extremely similar to how we felt last game. 7,500 gold with everyone thinking this is the Cog that we knew. But this is where things start to get hairy. One good steal turned it around for Dignitas last time, and that could happen again very quickly.
That's true, but they're not really bringing the same kind of play to the table this time. I mean, they're very tanky. They're very low damage right now. Shadow Q, 2 tanking items and boots. And then you have the 2 tanking items on Tolly as well, plus boots. Last is really building Glass Cannon. Best tanking up as well. And Zapman, of course, building a typical Hunter role and playing a little PvE here.
The little points of min-max that Lassus does are always so impressive. Like with red buff, he times it so that he can activate, kill the speed buff with extra damage, go back to the base, buy his items, and then run back to the speed buff before it disappears to maximize his overall effectiveness. It's that kind of paying attention to the game that allows them to really push ahead in there. Granted, at this point, they're pretty far behind, but we've seen them make up the difference before. And as we see a grouping over towards the left, mid Harpies and Omegatron rushing in, we can see a big fight here.
Dog wants to fight. Vomana does have the Fatalis finish. Down goes Lassus. Omega with the damage coming through. And we heard the calls just over my shoulder as the players, and I heard, fight, fight, fight. I knew that they were going in there. That is the characteristic voice of Omega.
Whenever that happens to me, I always like to blame lag, but we're on LAN here. She just did not get up into her ult fast enough.
Yeah, it's the small little plays there. I mean, Runeforged Hammer, Heartseeker, nice damage being built on Omega. Not tremendously tanky, but can put out some serious damage.
Oh, Zap's in trouble. Even with the ult, I don't know if he's going to be able to escape this. Never mind, it's Zapman. He's gone.
Anatoly now trying to disengage. He looked like he wanted to follow that up. Yeah, Force uses Lawbringer to get out, but Dare to Care already there. He finds 3 with the ring. Ultimate forced out by Zapman. Looks like he wants to get to the back line perhaps, or at least make some, he wants to feint that he's going to go back there, so at least they have to consider it and make a little room for his team. Gold Fury starting to come back up here. Picking it out. Dignitas following suit, going to try to chase him down.
Overall, I mean, we do have a 5-5 now as Lassus has respawned and joined the fight. Shadow Q taking a lot of damage, forced up into the cloud. He will get up as Omega's looking at the remaining 4 players. Anatoly with low health links in, finds one. They get a snipe off, but not enough damage to really turn the fight around just yet.
Yeah, Lassus does get knocked up, and there he will go down to stealth. Oh, Zapman trying to hold his ground, but he will fall as well as Barracuda gets the last hit. Anister with the damage. Now it's Omega in the front line. Anatoly can't peel him. Down will go Anatoly. Killing spree for Omega.
That's going to be 3 down. That's contention for objective as all 5 members of Cognitive Gaming are still alive.
Yeah, this is a very, very cognitive style game. They're just continually roaming the map. They're taking the calls, they're engaging.
Look at him. Look at the brilliant player that he is. He recognizes the situation. I love this. I love this kid, man.
Yeah.
Incredible player.
Clever stuff. Realizes what's going on, falls back, makes his way right to the Fire Giant. Magi's Blessing active. He's moving through here, realizes that they haven't started it just yet. Shadow Q, after getting called out here, TM, he could be going down. Indeed, he will be. So, you know, he was trying to make the big play. He was going to try to rotate in, steal that Fire Giant, but they had not started yet, had Cognitive. And now this should be free as Hand of the Gods not available. Best getting chunk portions from combat blink. Big cooldowns being
3
spent
minutes
by Dignitas, and they're going to get nothing out of it. Cognitive Gaming with a Fire Giant just before 25 minutes.
Lassus in trouble here. He's going to be forced up into the ult. Where is he going to go? He's sitting here for a long time. Actually, Lassus did not have Valkyrie's discretion available to him there, and Cog back off to chase Zapman, who continuously runs down the lane. I'm actually surprised to see Omega back off, especially with Zapman sitting so close. Armored Umbrella, Barracuda finds the best. Zapman gets the mesmerize in the back of him and continues his escape, but overall, there's still a lot of trouble for Dignitas here.
Oh, and now it's Toli who is going to be taking a spill as well as Cognitive cleans up 3 on their way through the Fire Giant, and Omega going deep on Zapman.
Omega
Gonna fight him underneath that tier 2 in the right side. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a new Cognitive Gaming playing lights out this game.
Valkyrie's discretion uses Barracuda, goes fishing towards the mid tower for a Shadow Q. We're going to see the creep start to move up here. MLC Stealth still here. We still see Andy as the right tower goes down. Dare to Care and Barracuda getting a tier 2. I'm sorry, Barracuda's in the... Yes, Barracuda also gets a tier 2. That's a 3,000 gold swing. 14,000 gold in the lead.
How are they going to stop Cog from breaking the base here? They're going to banish out the Odin, but Barracuda's there. Too much damage. Throwing in the crits on the Lassus. Last force out of this fight. And Cognitive looks like they are going to regroup here, maybe buy up some items, clear the jungle out, and then look to make their way in. But Dignitas has other ideas. Crushing Wave Force out from Anister to disengage there. You know, a sign of hope there for Dignitas. They need Freya, though, up in the front lines to find a banish if they're going to secure a kill.
She doesn't have Valkyrie's discretion, though, Bart. If she moves up, she could get picked. Shadow Q forced into the cloud. The best forced back into the respawn world as Omegatron dips into the backside with the movement speed buff. Sprint activated, ready to burn him down. Stealth finds Lassus.
And now Anatoly rotating in late, but Zapman already down to Barracuda. This could be the game for Cog. They're going to take out 4. Only Shadow Q remains. Ladies and gentlemen, it's looking like a game number 3.
Losers Finals extends with Cognitive Gaming First Seed World coming in and ensuring that they're not out just yet.
I wonder what it feels like to be Shadow Q right now.
Sitting there like, guys.
He donates a
do?
Rampage to Omega there at the end of that game. Congratulations to Cognitive. Really, really played that one spectacularly well. You can see why they drafted this team. They had a game plan. It didn't work in the first game. They stick with it. They come back in the second game, execute it brilliantly.
It was the same first 20 minutes. Maybe even 18 minutes.
A little bit of a weaker start onto the Hubwa.
Sure.
But he got very good farm this game, just not all the kills.
Honestly, I think the Void Stone was a good pickup.
I can't disagree, but doesn't matter what we think, DM, because we have trained professionals on hand at the Alienware Analyst
And
desk.
DJ Pernicus.
And DJ Pernicus, boys, take it away.
Shots fired in the analyst desk. Welcome back, guys. We are sitting here. That was an amazing game. I don't know, but all I know is that we're still live in Atlanta, Georgia. We're still live for the Smite launch tournament. I'm still sitting here with Dry Bear, Lionheart, and DJ Pernicus. What did you guys think about that game?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I think Cognitive Gaming is really showing that they can adapt. We saw that yesterday, and we talked a lot about this in the pregame and also in the postgame, and things they were doing yesterday is that they weren't being very amorphous. They weren't kind of, you know, they were just, this is what we do it well, let's do it. Oh, wait, it didn't work. And so we see that the first blood was a little bit different this time around. So let's go and check this out on the screen. Analyst coming right through the mid lane, looking for the best. There goes the knockup. Crush wave to come through, and he turns around immediately with the water cannon that's going to finish him off there. And the best, I mean, he was under tower, but this is exactly what you'd expect from Habwa in the game, is get that burst, get that early control, and then run around the map and doing tons of damage.
I'm going to make a play off of the Still Live and say that we still have a similar team comp with Cognitive Gaming off of the picks and bans. I mean, you saw that they went with basically the same picks. They changed up one, which was their mid lane, but otherwise everything was the same. And so it showed that, you know, they were able to win the early game. They were looking to try and do something a little bit different in their gameplay, and it wasn't where they were choosing characters. It was how they were using those characters.
Right. Yeah, and I think their mentality was, let's focus on the mistakes we made in game, right? It wasn't, let's change our strategy overall, let's, you know, pick different characters. They weren't worried about that. They said, you know, we played a really good game, and then we got sloppy. We weren't airtight, and that's what COG's known to, you know, that's how they play. They're known to be really tight in their game. They're going to go to every single objective, right on time, secure them, don't make mistakes, don't make risky plays. They didn't do that in the first game. In the second game, they really sealed it up and played well.
Yeah, and we were talking about the picks and bans when we were watching it all unfold, and we thought Dig had a very, very strong team, and we thought the game was going to be won in that picks and bans phase. I know Lionheart had a lot to talk about, so...
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas drafted strong. They were able to get tier right away out of the gate, and I think, you know, when we were looking at the first game where Cognitive lost, I don't think Aphrodite was the key to that loss, and they actually did really well against that lane, so I was surprised when they banned her out, and it was clearly a respect ban, but they felt that she was causing them a lot of problems. And, you know, they still went to the same lane. You got to see the dual lane go off. And again, the early game for Cognitive was the same. Despite the strong draft from Dignitas, despite the combination of the banished Freya into the Ra ult, they weren't able to, you know, execute any better than they did the first game. They still got beat by Cog in the early game.
In the screen, you'll see Barracuda versus Zatman, Stat versus Stat, seed number 1 and seed number 2 together here. You can see the kill count is much higher for Barracuda, but the assists are actually quite similar. GPM a little bit higher for Barracuda as well. So, you know, overall, Zatman is a more aggressive player. You'll see that in the deaths, almost actually over double the amount of deaths, 46 to 98 there. Definitely a really big difference. But, you know, the assists and kills are around the same. So we know Zatman likes to go in. There goes another support comparison, Dare to Care versus Shadow Q. Look at the assist difference here. 434 to 333 on Dare to Care. Although Dare to Care gets much more gold, Shadow Q is much more influential in the fights.
Yeah, and I know it's getting ready to come up, but you wanted to talk about Omega's build. You had a lot to say about it while we were watching that game. We're not quite there yet, so we'll talk about these players, but when it comes up, I would like you to elaborate on that.
Well, let me talk about the mid actually here, since we're looking at MLC Stealth and Best, because I think there's something that Cognitive Gaming did very well against Dignitas both games, and particularly we saw in the first blood. They put a lot of pressure in the mid lane. Anderster is very good with Habwa jungle. I'm a huge fan of Habwa jungle, and you know, he's putting the pressure on mid, ulting on cooldown, always going there, always saying, you know what, if you step forward, we know that you have fast move speed, but there's no leap, dash, or jump. So if I can hit the water spark, if I can knock you up, I can do a devastating combo, and anybody else who's rotating from the lane can help me. So there was a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, and here's the stats for the solo laners, and this was a real turnaround for Omega. He looked a lot more comfortable. He changed his build up a little bit. He added early protections, and that enabled him to be more aggressive, I feel like. We saw last time he was very squishy, and he just didn't seem like the normal Omega Vamana that we were accustomed to from previous tournaments. And he really dominated this game. This looked a lot actually like TSM versus American teams, and that Omega was able to replicate that dominance that Game Hunter had, running around fights, taking out multiple people without even being touched.
Yeah, I think he really changed his whole philosophy of Vamana in this game. He didn't start this game with really aggressive Heartseeker. He ended up going for physical protection to begin against the tier, and this helped a lot with the early game. Had that segue, and you know, talking to Omega at PAX Prime Invitational, his original strategy with Vamana when he used to play Vamana back then is, I buy one magical protection item, I buy one physical protection item, and then I do damage, I start going into it. Except last game he went Heartseeker, boots, full damage, hard damage, and then when of course the Colossal Fury is on cooldown, he has nothing to defend himself and ends up getting bursting. But this time he was much more intelligent, highly mobile. At the same time, he also has Frey. He caught Lasses so many times in the lane, in the jungle, just standing out, and that segued into really good team fights.
Yeah, and what do these teams have to do to win Game 3? I mean, this is an important game. This decides who goes to the grand finals. What are these teams going to have to do to make it there?
You know, I think one of the things that Dignitas needs to do to kind of change it up is they can't lose the early game every game. They lost the early game even in the one that they won, and so they need to tighten that up and figure out how to handle these strong jungle rotations that are coming out with Analyst across lane. Cognitive Gaming really just needs to do what they did in the last game. I mean, but like I said, both games they've won the early game, so they have that down. Keep doing what they're doing. They just need to make sure that as it transitions to the mid game, they focus down objectives like they did last game, and they drive the point home. This game is about objectives. It's not about chasing kills. And they can't get stalled out in these extended laning phases because Dignitas will be happy to do that every time, and then they'll come back as a monster team in the late game.
Yeah, and I think another thing is they need to assert, their dominance. They need to make calls. They need to make plays. They need to make decisions that are aggressive and not reactionary. I praised COG a lot. Playing against them extensively, you see they always have an idea in mind. It's never let's just run around until something occurs and then react to it. No, it's let's dictate the pace of the game. Let's decide when we're going to go for something and why. And I think Dig needs to do that a little bit more. They seem to be, like you said, they fall behind early, and that might be the reason why they're not going for things. But they are such good players that regardless of the goal deficit, if it's 1, 2K, I think they can still make plays, and they need to do that.
Yeah, I really agree 100%. I think they definitely need to focus on their mid-game strategy. They have the late game down. They definitely have the early game down. But focusing on a list, a rough draft for the mid-game was going to help them out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm hearing that we're queued up for Game 3, so we're going to send it back down to the casters. Bart, DM.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the lower bracket finals. It's 1-1. It's Cognitive Gaming and Team Dignitas.
This is Game 3, Bart,
Yes.
which means the winner of this game is guaranteed, I think, about double in prize money. Not to mention, they have a chance to fight for double that amount of prize money and a trip to China.
Yeah, it starts going up very rapidly from here. $30,000 game on the line right now.
That's got to be stressful.
I'm sure that they're perfectly ready and prepared to play. Now, the interesting thing here is will Cognitive come off of the Aphrodite ban?
I don't know. I don't think I can predict that one at all. It worked out for them. Aphrodite was a major proponent of why they won that game on Team Dignitas, and taking that out of the hands of either ShadowQ or Anatoly is going to be a big play.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if they do indeed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality, and they're going to just ban out the Aphrodite again, or if they think, okay, well, now that we've won a game against Team Dignitas, and we really just wanted to break up maybe their flow or their rhythm, like not let them get that Aphrodite twice in a row, but it's okay if separated by a game.
I think that was the first time I've ever seen Lassus' Freya really kind of get shut down.
But it seems self-imposed.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just Lassus. You can't shake Lassus.
Yeah, but Lassus didn't seem to be looking for fights. Like, there wasn't a lot of initiation. There wasn't a lot of, rotations with banishes coming out. There wasn't any banish into raw snipes. I mean, granted, Agni not easy target with the instant dash coming out, but
it's true.
At the end of the day, it seemed like Lassus was not playing his game. It was very, very passive.
Well, for those of you who are just joining us, why don't we take a look at the teams one more time, Bart? First seed coming out of North America. Oh, wait, no! I think we're in the game.
All right, let's
do
it. Picks and bans starting to come out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the early stages of game number 3 in the lower bracket finals. Nemesis, no surprise.
Oh, my God, is that a Nemesis ban?
And a chalk to follow up. So everything straightforward there. And now comes the question, is Cognitive going to respect ban Aphrodite again?
Not even a thought.
Will. No thought, right away snap ban, and Dignitas going to take out the Allfather. So
there's the Allfather.
Standard bans across the board there, and the Aphrodite coming out, which for this matchup feels pretty standard to ban her.
Pick Zeus, give Zeus. What do you think?
I think that they.
I don't think they can give away Zeus and Freya. I don't think that's a smart idea. But then again, there's Hopla.
I think they first pick Freya.
First pick Freya?
I think so.
Even with the Hopla doing as well as it is.
I think they will. I think that. That god is very powerful for Andister, and Lassus, even though he underperformed last game, can be very good on it. But yeah, I think that they will.
Oh,
no.
Whoa!
Okay, so Sun Wukong, the most highly valued god here for COG, and
okay,
interesting proposition now. So Dignitas has exactly like you said, Freya Zeus. They can pick up Geb really at any point now.
Yeah,
if
that's
they want
true.
Him.
Geb's probably going to be the answer here. Sun Wukong generally you don't find out of the duo lane. There's the Zeus hover. What else are we going to see? Oh, Muzenka trying to take a hit to Barracuda.
Okay, so, it looks like COG has been picking it, I think, to keep it out of Zapman's hands.
Yeah.
I think that, for whatever reason, it feels like Team Dignitas prefers Muzen against Cognitive. Cognitive recognizes that. They try to keep him away, but here they're forced to give him up as they want the Sun Wukong, and they can't first pick Muzen. Just not potent enough to first pick.
So what do you want to do here about Zeus? Now, I truly believe that Scylla has a good match against Zeus, but she has not been out for a long time, and she has not done very well in this tournament so far.
And mid lane Scylla, a difficult proposition in high-level play. Doesn't come online for some time.
Yeah.
Has a built-in escape, but ideally you're not having to skill that. Ideally, in a perfect world, you get to level 10 with 4-4-0-2.
Okay.
But to get that extra 40 magical power, but the value point in this escape is so good.
Yeah.
But I think it's still she's better relegated to the solo lane, it looks like, for this level of play where she's just so gankable. But you're spot on with the Habwa being the pick for the jungler once again. And they're going to pick up Agni as well. So only thing changing so far is the Odin for...
I think there was actually a hover on Ra. Stealth switched off.
Glasses
Now,
showing us a hint.
This is my opinion, and a few others share it, that Loki is one of the weakest gods in the game, unless it's in the hands of Lassus.
Or unless you change into tier and lock it
That was
right
a good
away.
idea.
The best Loki is the one that's actually tier, it appears here for Lassus. So Ra, tier, Amuzen Cobb, Zeus, rounding up the Dignitas lineup here. They still need one more to draft.
Ooh, Neath, World Weaver,
Taking a
which
look
means
at
we
Neath.
might not see across the sky for the first time in a long time, and the ever-present Vamana.
Yeah, it looks like Omega pretty comfortable with just going right back to Vamana here. We'll see if they do lock this in. And I got to say, man, after last night, I see this skin in a whole new light.
I think we're going to see locks here, Bart. They're running out of time.
Yeah, 5 seconds for Neath, and yeah, she is going to get locked in.
Yep.
So
One more pick here. It looks like we...
yeah,
Support?
yeah,
It could be
it's
support
gonna be
tier.
Geb.
No,
It's gonna
there
be
it
Geb.
is.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Geb coming onto the board for Team Dignitas. Shadow Q, they haven't let him play Geb yet in this matchup.
true.
And he's sitting there every single game like, what about Geb? What about Geb?
Can I
How
play
about
Geb?
Geb? Can I play Geb? So they are going to let him play the Geb, and Geb matches up quite nicely with Muzen. The rollout slow if it lands, plus the honey, a lot of damage.
Not to mention, can keep him safe. Shockwave and Stone Shield.
Is that Cog clapping it up?
Like,
I think that was Cog clapping it up out there. Good job, boys. Getting their heads into the game where they're going to be going up against Team Dignitas.
So besides the pentakill, which was obviously a huge deal, shout-outs to Game Hunter on Team Solo Mid, I think the best play so far was Shadow Q's escape with Geb. The double rollout,
yes.
Stone Shield,
The
Shockwave under the
long
tower.
chase.
Ooh, it was like 2 towers range.
My candidate is definitely the Lassus Freya, where he bought the Witchblade, and the decreased attack speed let him kite the Nemesis, and then he banished it and ran
Not to
away.
mention the passive with the lifesteal, took extra
Unbelievable.
hits. Oh,
Unbelievable.
man.
What plays. Those were some fantastic ones. And ladies and gentlemen, we hope to bring you a whole lot more as we move into the game. It's game number 3 between Cognitive Gaming and Team Dignitas.
Guys, again, I want to just kind of point out the severity of this game. This is 3rd place. This is the make or break. Winner of this game goes on to grand finals to fight against #1 seed coming out of Europe, Team Solo Mid.
Let's introduce the team. They are the blue team for the 3rd game in a row, the bottom side of the minimap, the left side of your spectator UI. Ladies and gentlemen, Cognitive Gaming, Omega in the solo lane has Vamana. Habwa in the jungle for Anderster, Dare to Care, and Barracuda in the dual lane, a Sun Wukong and Neath, and MLC Stealth on Agni.
What can I say, Bart? Fan favorites, most land wins, Team Dignitas. Give it up, guys. We got the best going mid lane with Zeus. Anatoly going solo with Ra, Zatman, and Shadow Q going back to the dual lane with Amuzen Cobb and Geb. And finally, Team Captain Lassus going to be going into the jungle as tier.
Yeah, tier jungle, something that we've seen Lass add to his god pool recently, and kind of the full length of Smite timelines, what he's played, and quickly kind of becoming a signature for him. The Lassus style of tier, very, very aggressive. It's actually pretty similar to what we saw Anderster do when he started playing tier, pretty much exclusively in the jungle there for a few weeks.
Lan has definitely been a double-edged sword for tier, because while it's easier to hit the Blink Fearless, it's easier to beat out of the combo to ensure you don't take as much damage. It's really a lot of baiting that tier has to do, and it feels like on Lan he needs to build a little bit more tanky because you're doing less damage, but you can sustain for so much longer.
Yeah, I think that, to kind of explain what's going on to those of you at home who are less familiar with Smite, so Tyr has an ability called Fearless where he pushes a target that he hits twice and then knocks it up. If you don't beads before the knockup, you're forced to eat the full duration of the knockup. It's very hard to do that on reaction, but in the LAN environment, they're able to activate the beads on reaction and still have enough time, given the no latency, to avoid the knockup. So Tyr's CC chain is far more avoidable.
See this play? You see the mid-harpy camp?
Reset or just left?
Kind of hanging out, dude.
And
has not been touched.
They're only worth
We have seen
ton.
top blue get taken. We saw a small camp get taken on bottom side. Bottom blue got taken, but Dare and Barracuda are not level 2 as Zatman and ShadowQ rotate in. Barra really should not be fighting this. He needs to go back to lane and get that experience because they just missed an entire wave.
Yeah, he's going to take some harassment for his trouble as well. What do you think about this play from Dignitas? I mean, this is now, you can call it a trend now, I think.
Yeah, not going to mid camp?
Well, not going to mid camp and
is it a
aggressing
protest?
the orange buff super early.
That's true. They have been doing that a lot, making sure that they can get that extra movement speed. Overall, I think both teams have very interesting starts, and I'm kind of worried here for Barracuda, really. Only level 2 at this point, missed a lot of farm, and that's, of course, giving that to Zatman. But then again, Barra has gotten a lot of solo experience here, and is probably very close to level 3.
Yeah, but, the real issue here is if Geb hits level 5 before Barracuda does, or really not even level 5, just if really just when Geb hits level 5.
Last is getting real low inside of the Solar Blessing. Will heal up just in time. That was a very quick amount of damage to put on that character.
Yeah, not very often you talk about Hobblon not having cooldowns available, but there, only thing that saves Lassus' life, the full dump coming out from Analyst, unable to pick up the kill, but now has a decent angle if he can find the water spout, but it's a little early for them to dive. Omega still not very resilient, does have this talisman granting him an extra 100 health, but not a lot, no boots, I think, being the reason they were not going to dive there.
Stealth took 3. Is he going to detonate? Actually, I think he's going to let... Nope, there it is. Took some damage. But he didn't rush it down. I really thought the best was going to go for that one.
He wanted the fadeaway there. he wanted him to run away a bit before that detonate came out. So once again, we see the first couple of minutes of the game fairly meticulously paced by these teams.
They can't respawn right side, taking by Cog. We still don't have left for a long time. It's a 30-second window at this point. So you see MLC, Stealth, and Anderson kind of hanging out in the mid lane trying to find something. Right lane, Omega and Anatoly kind of just bashing their heads against the unmovable object. It's just solo island.
Rotating over now to the left side camp is Cog, and any time that you are beating the Geb to the mark on a mid camp, you're doing something very well. And Cog here, able to secure that easily. Right side camp, not going to be up for some time, so the offset camp timings here for the first respawn at least seem to be in favor of Cog.
I can imagine Snipe's support in Continental is sitting in the stands right now, just cringing at the offset timers. Oh man, left side, Dare to Care, gonna rotate back in. Looks like he's gonna scoop up some experience, help out Barracuda here, who still is looking like he's doing this death toll start every time, which we always see Zatman going into the Heartseeker.
Yeah, we've seen almost every single game it's been Zatman rushing Heartseeker rank 2 right away out of the gate and now building it at a rank 3. Gonna build those stacks a bit earlier than Barracuda's able to do so. And the question is, will it allow him to really stay aggressive in the lane and hold it versus 2 with the extra damage on the Honey?
Anatoly again keeping Omega down. He lost a lot of gold in the early game last time, but Omega going to be using their Hand of the Gods there to ensure that he doesn't lose too much. You see him just kind of hanging out, waiting for creeps as we see rotations coming out from God.
Yeah, they're swarming here around the mid lane. Lassus here protecting the best for now. Best 0-0-0 on the Zeus and a sprint up as well. So, with Zeus, generally speaking, and like most mages that do a lot of damage, just getting out of the early game, not getting piled on too hard is really key.
Oh,
right side.
We got a World Weaver. Bart, this could be first blood.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Barracuda finds the World Weaver ultimate. Omega gets quite low to secure that kill, but they are able to get that Logitech first blood onto Anatoly.
Stealth also throws down 2 bombs, steals away one of the Harpies in the mid camps, and does a little 360 jump out of there as he takes 1 hit of a chain lightning. Not deterred at all. 15-second window now. Right here on the left camp as we see major contention coming out from both ShadowQ and Dare to Care looking for the option, but Dare to Care is level 6 and will have a little bit more damage as we see ShadowQ rotate over towards the right side.
Lassus is going to he's going to drop that blue buff for Anatoly. Anderson rotated over. And Lass has actually used a lot. I mean, they really wanted to get this buff for Coley. He used Lawbringer to even close the distance to keep Hubba from being able to get in there and steal it.
I mean, and Ra really not one of those characters you're worried about draining mana too quickly. Has decent sustain, doesn't have to use too many abilities, especially at level 7 now with level 4 Celestial Beam. He can clear the wave very quickly.
Stone of Gaia completed now for Omega. He's basically in no danger of dying to this Ra at any point now for about the next 10 to 15 minutes.
This is an item that we saw him build last time, but not until I think gold.
That's right, so he's going to go ahead and pick it up right away here, likely with the Heartseeker next. And then kind of at the end of when the Stone of Gaia is going to be just absolute protection from the Ra is when he's going to have his damage items online. At least that's the timing he's going to be looking for.
Again, Omega getting shoved under the tower. Shouldn't lose too much here thanks to the Gladiator minion. Maybe 1, maybe 2 minions worth of gold. No experience lost. Omega just cleaning this one up is going to let that one go and look to move up this time against Anatoly to try to clear the wave before he gets pushed back out.
Only 1 kill, 6 minutes into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Neither team wanting to be the first to slip. And, you know, this is what I was expecting out of the losers bracket finals. I mean, just so much intensity, such a tense game we have here. And you can tell it's getting ready to break open at any time.
You know, at this point, with First Blood last time, or even the game before that, Cog had a 12 to 1,300 gold lead thanks to farm. This time it's only 700, so it seems like Dignitas is really unlocking the secret to the early game against these guys in the middle of the set.
The experience is a problem, though. No. Derek getting Fearless Shane's going to try to go up into the Somersault Cloud. Not enough damage from the meters, but now it's Anatoly who is going to eat that World Weaver, but no further engagement from Cog. Derek going to fall back with his team. Shadowq doesn't have the blink up yet. He has the blink. He has a Cataclysm, but he doesn't have his boost finish, so he's not going to have enough speed to close the distance to engage. Not wanting to use a rollout there, it looks like, and keep that available for the fight, the burst damage and the slow that it brings.
It looks like Zap's rotation forced out a lost creep wave sitting level 8 right now. Barracuda actually getting into level 9 as we see rotations coming through. Oh, checking out Cog here on the bottom side. The rotation is going to be good. And we'll see stealths going in Ananster, but Dare to Care is super low. It's being shoved out by Zap. He, without his ultimate, could die here. And he misses the crushing wave.
The Aegis was so big there. Best going to turn that around with a lightning storm. Zapman wrecking through the team. Barracuda trying to disengage. Stealth in some trouble. Lawbringer, Lasses, dash out of the way by Stealth just in time, but now it's Barracuda they're looking for. Fearless Shane comes through. Down goes Barracuda. Here comes Dare to Care. Gab going to disengage there. Zapman still wants to fight, charging forward. No further engagement from Dignitas, but they find a couple of high priority targets. Probably the best two to pick up on the map.
Oh, absolutely. Barracuda going to shove those Heartseeker stacks back down. Ananster going to lose precious farm, and now Omegatron's going to try to do a 1v4 here as he attempts to make something happen. They fight for the gold here.
And Dig going to pick that up handily. So that gold lead we were talking about, yeah, that's gone now. 1,000 gold in favor of Team Dignitas, and they drew a 2,000 experience lead for Cognitive, back to even as well. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 minutes in, 2 kills to 1 in favor of Dignitas. This game, for all intents and purposes, is fresh.
Absolutely. Actually, I want to put this majorly in favor of Dig right now, considering they've been playing so well from behind the set that playing from the lead, that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Anderson. Ooh, Anderson's deep here. Yeah, no, he's going to think better of that. Geb, you know, with the Stone Shield there, going to be able to prevent Anderson from really bursting Lasses all the way down from half health. And even though it would have been really great to take him out of a fight at that HP level, it doesn't really behoove him to take that amount of risk at this point in the game.
As the Harpies respawn, he hits a Celestial Beam on his stealth, hits the Searing Pain onto Andy, but does not gain any gold or experience for his rather amazing aim, unfortunately, as those camps both will go to Cog.
Take a look at Omega this game. Last game, he was the top farmer. This game, he is off the pace, and look who is sitting at the top of the mark. It is Zapman, and as we see him engaging over into the left side lane, this 1v2 looking pretty strong for them, but here's Shadowq is going to be a big Blink Cataclysm. He has the ultimate available. Blink probably not up. Yeah, it is. Here he goes in, but they only find Dare to Care. Knockup coming through. Zapman cannot finish this one off, and now he's going to get pinned. This could turn around, but Dare to Care has to heal up at least a little bit. Jingle Bang over the top, not going to look for transformation.
See that damage? My God, the magic punch certainly is magical. Taking about a fifth of Zapman's health out instantaneously and allowing Barracuda to get back into position to keep farming stacks. The rotations go, we're going to see the World Weaver, but Shadowq is already out of there. That ult will be wasted for all intents and purposes, as well as one bomb.
Just on the mid camps. Crushing Wave coming out. Lasses not going to find the Fearless. Now it's Stealth rotating back in. looks like it's a full-on
Second
retreat
time.
from Dignitas.
That was the second time that Last has stopped the Agni stun by using Lava.
Yeah.
Already.
He is very quick to pull the trigger this game on getting out of fights. They don't want Lassus getting picked. It must have been a little bit of team strategy there, because often you'll see, Lassus try to make the play or at least juke around a bit during that fight before he says, okay, yeah, I'm going to disengage. Play it a little bit riskier. But here, I think that maybe this is a bit of strategic. Just if you're in trouble ever, just get out. We need you alive.
Lassus with 700 gold in hand. I'm super interested to see him go back to the base and build, because I want to know what direction he's going to take this in. Is he going for damage? Is he going for utility? Is he going for defense? It could be anything, but for now, it looks like he's going to be going for left lane.
Look at this, they're just ignoring Barracuda, and they're going to go deep on to Dare to Care. Stinger's going to land, but Lassus doesn't find enough damage, and that Stinger going to pulsate out all of its venom underneath the tower. But here comes a Blink Cataclysm from Shadowq. Down goes MLC Stealth. The best is raining in the damage. Barracuda can't fall back, forced to fight. Anderson here as well. Best going to use his Aegis Amulet. Going to survive for the moment. Throws out another Chain Lightning, but down he does go.
He cannot miss. Either can Zatman as he moves forward, but nice knock-up coming out from Anderson to ensure that the push is at least deterred for now. Andy can move forward here to try to defend, but with the amount of CC and control. World Weaver coming out. Zatman is going to get a Stone Shield for almost that exact amount of health. As we see Andy move forward, he's looking for an opportunity here, but I don't know if he has one.
Yeah, that was very close to locking down the retreating, bouncing Geb there. Now, still though, after that engagement, we're only going to get 5 total kills in this game in the last 11, almost 12 minutes. So still, a very, very ponderously paced game. These teams very much so just kind of poking at each other, looking at positioning, and it seems like they really don't want to take too much risk until it's time to team fight.
Dare to Care and Stealth going to grab themselves a Maycamp extra golden experience, which is pretty strange this game. We have a 300 gold lead right now for Dig, but still a 2,400 experience lead for Cognitive. Now remember, guys, this is game 3 of lower bracket finals, winner of whom will go on to fight TSM in Grands.
Grand finals, yeah, staring both of these teams down. That's absolutely right, TM. And going through their heads right now, it has to be, there's a trap a little bit here, right? You can't be thinking about beating TSM. You have to go through your North American opponent first. And man, honestly, this feels like the momentum's a bit in favor of COG. They have the better late game secured with the Habwa of Amana, always with that lineup. And Dignitas doesn't seem to have a lot of kind of control of this early part where you expect them to be strong. There's a big Cataclysm coming out from Shadowq. Last is going to get Stone Shield as the World Weaver comes through. Going to find the CC chain on to Dare to Care. This is getting a little bit hairy. This fight continues to drag on, but no one really fully committing. And Dare to Care just stays in there and gets blown up. A sloppy fight for COG.
That was a really late somersault cloud there as Dignitas turns their sight to the Gold Fury. Only Barracuda's kind of in tandem here. We do see the rotations coming in. Anatoly throwing it out. They are almost going to reset this. This is trouble, but Dig does get it. Shadowq goes down. Stealth goes down. Omega goes down. And that's going to be a big win for Dig.
Heavenly Agility has been activated, but it looks like it's only for the mid lane. I thought that in some world that they were maybe going to look for the Fire Giant there, but it is not this one. Mid tower going to fall here to Team Dignitas. Not much the COG can do to stop this. Anderson maybe just looking to poke a bit on his way to defend, but does not matter because the tower and the first of the game goes to Team Dignitas, giving them the 3,600 gold lead experience, basically drawn even now. That Gold Fury and Tower combination there have really given the first substantial advantage of the game over to Team Dignitas.
Not to mention, Omega here, still not up. He's going to be gone for a long time out of this. He just lost an entire creep wave. In fact, he lost 2 creep waves, but Anaser rotates in. Not really enough mana to contend with Anatoly, who is also but at the same time, we see Omega took a huge hit there. Despite the fact that he is the highest on his team, he would be the 5th person currently on Team Dignitas.
Yeah, he's sitting at 327 gold per minute, which is okay. It's not great farm, honestly, but oh no, I'm sorry. Yep, there he is. Yeah, 327 trading back and forth with Stealth, but he's still a ways away from damage items here. Has the Heartseeker finish, but really needs those boots done and the Fatalis, and probably starting into another item to really be effective. And we're looking at probably, instead of coming online around the 20-minute mark like we saw in the last game, we're probably looking closer to about 28.
Yeah. Definitely. It's going to be a much harder road for Omega, who is normally very far ahead at this point, but 0-1-2 with no tower damage done. It's going to be very hard for him, especially when Anatoly repeatedly is using his ultimate to just clear the wave and ensure that his tower doesn't take any damage.
Yeah, if we're both just farming waves back and forth, you know, the player that is ahead at the moment will continue to stay ahead, and Anatoly sitting on the top farm in the game, a full 1,000 gold ahead of Omega after the Gold Fury and tower.
All right, so we have rotations coming over. No mid camp really to contest here. This is just a fight. Lass is getting over. Andy's put himself in the worst position imaginable. And the Storm will ensure that there is no chase available for Cog. They're just going to lose Andy in that fight.
Such a smart play there by Lassus. He gets caught out, takes all the burst damage. Stone Shield comes out, cleanses him, frees him up. He throws out the Lawbringer over the top of the crushing wave, and then immediately upon landing realizes they can take Habwa. Dare in a lot of trouble here, forcing to use once again. It's a late somersault cloud, but he's going to survive. This time Dignitas going to fall back. Still hunting for kills, and they notice Stealth making his way back into the jungle, but they will not be able to group and contest.
We see 4 members now of Dig kind of trying to contend for this mid camp. I think Stealth. Oh! Lass is so close.
Look at Stealth just jumping. Oh man, good friends. Stealth and really all of the boys have been in the scene for quite some time, but notably Stealth playing for a couple other teams before this one. I think a well-liked guy in the community.
I think Dare is probably the newest player to the pro-level competitive scene, and what an entrance he had, really coming in with Vicious and Delicious, turning into eventually Cognitive Gaming, and then just becoming one of the most dominant teams worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their run is better than anyone we've ever seen so far, taking out all A qualifiers. But the crowd getting a little hyped too now as we're looking for the aggression to start. 7 kills to 3 in favor of Team Dignitas. Every time they have clashed, it's been a Team Dignitas fight. And that pick, the last one on the Habwa, I think that they really kind of show their hand about kind of how they're really playing this, and it's save Lassus at all costs.
I don't see much going on here. You see creep waves, the jungle's been picked clean. Look at those timers scattered around the mini-map. I don't know what we're going to really see here. You know, Shadow Q's rotating over towards the left side. No problem here, but Zatman, oh, look at the Stone Shield. Zatman knows he can get aggressive. Shockwave not going to do too much to deter Barracuda, but at the same time, they're going to be moving forward here into a very dangerous B.
Yeah, that's right. And as we kind of talk about the pace of this game and what's going on around the map and how it seems to be a bit slow and there's a lot of farming going on, hold that thought. Anister has an angle here. Zatman can take a lot of damage, juking the cat form. Now rotating back. Anister's going to hit the knockup. World Weaver activated. Zatman takes the hit. Stone Shield coming out. Still alive. Lassus with the Fearless Shame. Down goes Anister. Lawbringer over the top. Here comes Lassus. Charging forward. Best picks up a kill. Stealth finds Zatman in the back of the fight. Not going to be able to find me, but they do have players on either side of MLC Stealth. Fearless Shane going to hit the Agni. Dash comes out. Positioning not the best there from Team Dignitas. They should have realized he was going to. Oh, my God. Anatoly with the rotation. Stealth in the ages. Anatoly rotating through, finding the big snipe.
Again, the crowd raises their Anatoly as he joins the fight late, but finds a huge kill on the Barracuda. We're going to see all of Dignitas rotate back and get themselves a very, very free, yet hard-earned Gold Fury.
You think Anatoly's making that face?
That face on the picture?
Yeah, the leaning back smile.
He's always making that face.
He always makes that face. I'm pretty sure he's doing it right now.
Gold Fury down.
Gold Fury in favor of Team Dignitas now. DM 7,000 gold, 6,000 experience in their favor. Not insurmountable by Cog by any stretch of the imagination, but it is Dignitas' game.
Let's talk about insurmountable. 3 Phoenixes down, 15K down should have been insurmountable, but they did that.
They did that. They can certainly do this, and they certainly are hungry enough for it. Winner of this game, ladies and gentlemen, is going on to face Team Solo Mid from Europe in the grand final, so a lot on the line here.
You know, this is something we've seen a lot in other esports, in other sports, period, where a team through qualifiers or through playoffs or through a season will be extremely dominant, maybe even undefeated, and then when they get to the big time, whether it's World Championships or the Super Bowl or anything else, they tend to maybe get a little nervous, over emotional, or in this case, they're just not finding the plays.
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting strat by Dignitas. You can definitely tell that they're saying Lassus, don't overextend. We need to keep you alive. They're investing a lot into keeping him alive. He's throwing out Lawbringer a lot defensively.
Right.
But it doesn't seem to be kind of forced. Right? He's using it to guarantee surviving where he normally might look to turn around and make a play. And the other thing about this is as long as Cognitive can continue having the game pace be, we fight a little bit, they may lose a couple fights, but they continually go back and farm in the lanes, kind of reestablish, they'll be good because they have the late game locked and loaded. So the later this game goes, the better it is for Cog. But Dignitas, I think, recognizes that. It's not that there's necessarily a timer ticking. It's still maybe 15 minutes away from when Cog really comes online in terms of late game damage. But you know, they know, at least in the back of their mind, that their team is not as strong.
Possibly so. I'm generally just looking at the Zeus at this point. The Zeus that has been kind of really not even in the team fights every single time, but is still 4-1-3.
That's true.
That is kind of incredible. We haven't really been yelling Zeus too much. We haven't screamed Detonate. We haven't yelled Lightning Storm. It's been mostly snipes from Anatoly, picks from Lasses, but at the same time, the best is looking for those kills, and he's played such a great mid-range god, ensuring that he never puts himself into a dangerous position where he's not overextending and using the ward coverage to ensure that he puts himself in positions to ensure his team is consistently winning team fights.
Yeah, you know, the big Geb Ultimate Cataclysm plus the Lightning Storm from Zeus. Last is blinking and going to miss that Fearless Chain on Anister, but it's similar to what we saw the boys from TSM running, where they would zone out, I'm sorry, Coast running, where they would zone out the enemy team with both the Hun bots and the Zeus Ultimate. They kind of use Cataclysm and the Zeus Ultimate in the same way. A little bit of overlap there. If you catch someone right in the middle of that Venn diagram, you're in a good spot. But really, we're going to control the team fight with these big ults.
Nice shot from the best. Chain Lightning going to take about a quarter from Barracuda with the Detonate, and this is going to allow them to really continue pushing forward. They can't really push and ensure that they can play safely. Barracuda just doesn't have that kind of tankiness. Stealth doesn't have that tankiness. And Dare to Care is getting blown up in every fight so quickly that he's forced to ult almost immediately.
Lassus, Barracuda continually aggresses Lassus just outside. Don't want to let him blink in. Omega trying to do damage here. He's going to find Shadowcube, but Shadowcube not the priority target. They're going to lock him down, but Lassus is wrecking havoc in the back lines. Down goes Anister. Snipe coming through, doing damage to Dare to Care. Maybe not enough to secure the kill. Indeed, it is the best with the double. Zapman, the important target to still have alive. In he goes. Tower going to start taking a beating. They have no tank here, so Fire Giant unlikely, but Dignitas starts to fall back, but Zapman making the calls to move into the Phoenix. They're going to try to break the base here. Risky stuff, but it is a 4-2 for the moment. And the Phoenix is going down quickly to Zapman's damage. Lassus blinks in, forces them back. And this is going to be a Phoenix uncontested, no deaths for Team Dignitas at 22 minutes in the game. Left Phoenix falls.
Now, Fire Giant is still up for contention. No tier 1s remaining for Cognitive. They have 2 tier 2s. They have 2 Phoenixes. Gold Fury's up in a little over a minute. And then, of course, the ever-important Fire Giants. Now, this is going to be a very important turning point. The one thing we should note that, of course, while the Phoenix is going to be a very big deal that it's down, it is on the side of FG, meaning their rotation from that lane to defend the objective isn't that long.
That's true. That's a very good point. Also want to point out here, Best has sold off Vampiric Shroud and finished Tahuti. And Aegis up and running, rank 3 on 3 members of Dignitas now. So take Phoenix, go back, buy Aegis seems to be the strat here, and they're going to look to really push on in, I think.
And check it out, right? We have Dare to Care has a one-person stun and a knock-up. We have, of course, Stealth's range stun from Noxious Fumes. But really, there's not a lot of CC on the team, especially, you know, when you compare it to other characters they could have picked. You know, maybe go for stronger amounts of control, and that's why it's very important to note that these are not Aegis amulets. These are Aegis pendants, allowing them to move around and reconsider and reposition where they need to be throughout the fights to ensure, they snuck it.
You hear the crowd cheering as Zapman sneaks in a solo kill onto the Gold Fury. Enough lifesteal and damage acquired takes that down under Cog's nose.
That's a 1,500 gold swing, increasing their lead to over 12,000.
Yeah, and the items, we never really went back to talk about Lassus' itemization. We're going to talk in the early, is it going to be a damage build? Is it going to be a hybrid build? And it is indeed the hybrid build, Jotun's Wrath, hybrid bruiser-based item with cooldown reduction and damage. You have the Magi's Blessing, a tanking item that gives him a lot of health, crowd control reduction, as well as immunity to 1 crowd control every 45 seconds, and then the Shifter Shield, giving him damage when he's high on health and giving him protections when he's low.
So we got a one-on-one in the left lane. We have 4 people of COG grouping up towards mid lane. And now we're going to maybe see a boxing match. Bear is actually backing off here. Where is he?
Yeah, who knows what lurks in the mind of the Barracuda, but I do know what is going on the left side lane
Tier
is
two?
Cognitive's having a hard time figuring out where they need to defend. Zapman finds a tier 2 and is going to force Analyst back. The B very scary right now. Rage Blade is completed and a rank 2 short sword as well. Crit chance quite high. He's going to start being able to really chunk these mages, and he's not far from the Deathbringer.
We're not going to see a push in the mid lane. Dig is just kind of grouping up here. I'm not really sure what they're looking for, but Dare to Care will be forced out using Ox Swarm to try to escape. We're going to see the Swarm slam onto Andy. Look at the damage he just took under half health. We see the Stone Shield used. Oh, Stinger's going to miss.
That's okay. They force Barracuda back to the well for the moment. Anister just coming out of the well. That buys time for Zapman to get a clutch 5 or 6 attacks onto that Phoenix. It's not going to take many. Blink initiation from Shadow Q there. Doesn't look like the team was too synced up with him as this fight continues. And this looks just like the game that Dignitas won. They're going to siege this tower. However, they don't have anywhere near the sustain in this match that they did in the last. Only the raw heal. It is fairly effective. Oh, here comes Vamana. He's going to try to do damage, but I think they're going to be able to force him back. He can't deal with the damage Zapman's putting out. Zapman just too big. The stay back, baby, he says. But the snipe from Anatoly. Right stealth. Dignitas rolls through the Phoenix. DM, they look poised to win.
This is Team Dignitas' game here, guys. They have one Tier 2 tower left on COG. They have one Phoenix remaining. And on the back of Anatoly's Searing Pains, they have pushed down 2 major objectives. Of course, Fire Giant still open for contention. Gold Fury on cooldown. But Dignitas has all 6 towers remaining, all 3 Phoenixes, and only 5 deaths dropped in this 26-minute slugfest.
14-5 in the kills there. You're absolutely right. What looked to be a very, very close game, it was very tight, has turned rapidly into, looking at the end of match summary, it'll look like a stomp. All the towers up, double the kills, almost triple the kills, and just huge snowball items across.
Dare is in major trouble.
Sniffing out the Fire Giant. He runs into all of Team Dignitas, and now they're going to go ahead and start this up. Last-ditch effort here from COG. They need to steal this or wipe the team.
What is Dare going to do here? Bird form still down for a few more seconds. He's going to get Fearless. Anatoly's going to miss that time, but there goes the Ox Form. He's going to jump out. Barracuda on the opposite side with the sandwich, trying to find something as Stealth keeps the Phoenix alive on the right side, just barely.
Yeah, just barely staying up there. And at that HP level, you know, in the next couple of minutes, if Dignitas is able to make their way over, that'll fall very quickly. This is why Last Can of Vamana is so risky. Last is in the back line.
Oh, this is big trouble, but Andy has found himself in there. Dare to Care goes down. Andy is taking too much damage. We're going to see a detonate in just a second, guys. Shockwave, actually, from Mr. Shadow Q to pick up a very hard carry. I don't think Fire Giant's even in their head anymore. Barracuda's going to get cataclysmed. He's going to get fearless. He's going to get slammed. Destruction.
The best is unstoppable. Team Dignitas is unstoppable. Rolling forward is Geb, looking for the Phoenix down again in the right side. Titan already taking damage from the Fire Minion, streaming it on the left side. It's getting dire. MLC Stealth, the only one alive for 10 more seconds. Here comes Team Dignitas!
This is going to be it, guys. 28 minutes, 30 seconds. Stealth is by himself. GG! The fans on their feet in support of second seed NA. Your winners going into Grands, Team Dignitas.
Where they will spar off once again against TSM, the team that knocked them into the lower bracket. This is going to be a barn burner, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful, wonderful game. We have a lot of more content coming your way. We have an interview coming up as well, but first let's toss it up to the Alienware analysis desk to get the thoughts on the boys. Take it away.
Thanks, guys, and welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm still sitting here with Drybear, Lionheart, and DJ Pernicus, and wow, that was a hell of a way to end that match right there.
You know, what an interesting series we had there. I mean, the first game, cognitive through and through, and it felt like Dig didn't really have an answer to it. And then coming out in game 2, definitely turned everything around, started planning things out a little bit better. The picks were very different. I think, you know, we were looking at it when that Aphrodite came, The players are probably stepping off stage right now.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, get in the crowd. Let's just do it.
Ignore
Dignitas,
us.
Team Dignitas,
Ignore
give it
us.
up. Give it up. First blood on the screen here. There goes Omega on top of, and then Neath Ultimate just secured this one. This is why you pick Neath. If you're not ganking the long lane and you have Neath, she's exponentially more valuable.
Oh, yeah.
You have some nice pressure actually in that first blood put onto Anatoly, but pressure is really where I think this game kind of changed pace. This is the first game in the 3 series where we saw Team Dignitas, they took the early game, and it helped them drive it all the way home for the victory in this best-of-3 series. And you didn't see, other than that first blood, the same pressure that Cognitive Gaming had been putting out before. Zeus was virtually untouched in the mid lane, and Anatoly on the solo, even though he had some pressure as you saw there, seems much more comfortable in that raw pick and being able to play the mage. And Lazis on tier is just lights out.
Yeah, and we saw Dignitas, we were talking about this between us. They left the mid harpies up, right? And that's going to change the timers for both sides. Normally, we expect the Gold Fury, or the mid harpies rather, to be up at roughly the same time. And I think that's really important in COG's strategy. You see a lot of the times, instead of, maybe ganking on the side lanes, either the solo or the duo, they'll come together on those mid harpies and try to force team fights and little skirmishes, and that's really their style. They're based on timing. And they couldn't do that, because they kind of lost track. And even if they did have track of their timers, not having both up didn't get as many players in the middle of the map at the same time. And I think that's really where they shine. And that's a very good strategy by Dig. It's different. We don't see it by every team, but I think it works very effectively.
Yeah, it certainly worked to the lineup as well. They wanted to get as much farm on Zeus as they possibly could. And due to lack of early pressure from Cognitive, he just kept farming and farming and farming. Eventually, the Zeus damage came out very strong. We know Anatoly also was farming very heavy, and this time he wasn't forced into the very heavy tank raw build that he has in prior games. And this time he was able to get the snipes, as I'm sure everyone was very excited about.
Yeah, there's just a different play style there too. When we saw Anatoly on tier in the last game, he would play it more similar to how he would play a Chalk, where he's kind of in the backlines, but he doesn't get to the backlines right away. As where when you're watching Lazis on tier, immediately blinking to the backlines, locking down. He's starting the fight with Tears Fearless, as opposed to using it after the fight begins and trying to apply pressure in the backline. So it's the same location, but it's a different kind of pressure, and Toly seems much more comfortable providing the sustain and then also being able to attack those people in the backline the same way he would with Chalk, but from a distance with Ra. And how many times did we see Anatoly with the snipe?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the raw snipe, I gotta admit.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention, too, a lot of people were critical of Anatoly online, in the forums and whatnot, for being maybe one of the weaker solo laners in the North American scene. A lot of people really, really liked, COG's lineup. They thought that they had the more skilled players, and they do have skilled players, no doubt. But what matters is not what leads up to the tournament. It's the tournament itself. And Anatoly really showed up today. He really had a few clutch snipes that were, it opened up the fight. It opened up an extra Phoenix, an extra Tower, an extra Gold Fury. And it was very good for them, because if the game did go later, it might have allowed Vamana to carry, We know he's a hyper carry. We know he can do great things late. But Anatoly was the one who said, you know what? I refuse to let you go late and just walk all over me. I'm going to snipe you.
And Lazis played a big part, I think, also in keeping Vamana down. I mean, there were times where we saw engagements where they would be so quick to engage on him as he approaches, they would lock him down and blow him up before he was even able to go into the big baby format. Right. And so there's, I think, at least 2 engagements that we saw where, Omega had died, and he still had his ultimate up.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I think one of the biggest things is that, when you're playing Vamana and you're going to the front line, you have to think in the back of your mind that if you're going that far forward, you're trying to initiate, that you're going to get initiated on. The counter initiation is going to come quickly. And so Omega was trying to cut some corners there and try to get away with his ultimate and maybe use the ultimate to regenerate himself. He did have the Stone of Gaia, of course, has that passive regeneration of HP's percentage base, plus his ultimate would be another 5%. So he definitely would have a lot of regeneration, but if you never get the opportunity to pop the ultimate, you're never going to regenerate all the way back up like he was intending. So I think it just came down to the fact that Cognitive didn't have the same mindset that we've seen them have in the past. Now, they did start to adapt with their picks. I like the fact that they were rotating around, getting new gods, and the Aphrodite pick, we talked a little bit about that, the ban, of course, kind of removing that out of the game. And even the last one where that Aphrodite ban allowed Dignitas to pick up a very strong lineup, in the beginning it still didn't work as strong as Dignitas wanted, and COG was still able to pull ahead in the early game, but it just seems like they don't have a strong transition from early game into mid game, because their mid game seems very lacking.
Yeah, and I was nervous actually when we were in the picks and bans and I saw the Zeus pickup. I said, you don't want to see this go to stealth, so it's good to deny it that way. But I hadn't seen the best have a lot of Zeus time, particularly at least this tournament, probably because he's banned a lot. But it worked out really well for them. And the synergy with Cataclysm and the way we saw them using Zeus to be able to zone people out. And again, no pressure on him in the early game. So he's able to get to that mid game, uncontested, and those ultimates were key in not only locking people down, but preventing them from retreating. And again, there was just so much control of the fight between Tier with Fearless, between Cataclysm, and the way they were able to force people into certain paths. It really set up then these snipes that Anatoly was doing.
Yeah, I think we see a really big corollary back to day one, right, on Friday, where we saw Geb being the mainstay of every lineup, where he has the shield initiation. We saw time and time again, it was a Blink Cataclysm into a Zeus ultimate, and all of a sudden, one person dies, two people die, especially when you're running Hubwa like that. You don't want to be on the receiving end of the initiation. You don't want to be the one to counter-initiate. Although Hubwa does have a lot of damage, you want to use him as a pseudo-mage assassin. You want to get to the back lane, kill the hunter immediately, Polynomicon hit, crushing wave, whatever the case may be, because Hubwa is not a person or a god that would be able to kind of sit back, wait for the fight to start, hang out, and get a couple kills. He wants to just get in your face and put it on his terms.
I think we need to talk about, too, is, the fact that, like, I addressed the issue that Dig was having last game. They didn't look like they were assertive in Game 2, which they ended up losing. In Game 3, they made a play for the Gold Fear at 8 minutes. And like we were talking about, they had Zeus mid, who's super, super strong early, and he can do a lot of cool things in the team fights, a lot of damage with the detonate, the ult combos that you guys were mentioning earlier. And that didn't allow Vamana to get the items necessary to make an impact in the fight, Instead of waiting and reacting, they forced the 8-minute Gold Fury. They had a couple of really good Aegis amulets to nullify the Hubwa ultimate, and I think that's what they needed to do. They just needed to be more confident in their play, and they did that, and it really showed.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to fundamentals as well. We talked a lot about the fact that they turned the disjoint respawns on the mid camps, especially with Zeus. I mean, Zeus, the chain lightning is very, very good, as well as the detonate for the secure, for securing those mid camps time and time again. Dig got a lot of mid camps that COG could have contested, but just the positioning there. And I think that, going into Game 3, Dig had this mindset where we're going to take the sure thing. I actually saw a little bit of a reeling, a pull back from Dignitas, where they're less aggressive than they usually are, just because they wanted to close the series out.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I hear in my ear that we have Lassus down on the floor with hi-rez Kelly, so she's going to give an interview here in just a short second. We've got a little video clip to show you first, and we will be talking to Kelly and Lass.
Hey there, guys. I'm here with Lassus and Anatoly from Team Dignitas. Now, before we start the questions, Anatoly, can we get the famous Anatoly smirk into the camera? All right, let's talk about those raw snipes. Anatoly, how do you know when to do that? How do you know when the right timing is? How do you know where they are? They're over the wall. How do you do it?
Well, when you play a raw 24/7, you kind of lead the target always, and you just know. Yeah.
What about you, Lassus? Do you communicate with Anatoly when to raw snipe, or you just trust him that he knows what he's going to do?
I always try to communicate, but I trust him. I trust the Russian sniper, the Slayer, the Toly.
So, you guys are going to be going up against TSM next game. They've already beaten you. How are you guys feeling about it?
I'm not going to lie. I mean, we're nervous as hell, but we look forward to it, win or lose. We just want to have a great game, and we're glad we made it this far.
What about you, Toly?
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous, too. I'm just happy to be here, honestly.
All right. Does the nervousness affect your gameplay, or do you guys feel like it maybe helps you?
It definitely helps us. We feel very confident in a LAN environment. Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know. It depends how many beers I had, honestly.
So, you guys won game 1, but lost game 2. What did you have to do to come back from that?
Well, we actually understood how outplayed we got in an early game. Me and middle, it's like bread and butter, like I said. If one of us is losing, we're both losing. There's one since where we got ganked middle, and it kind of went down from ahead there. I'm sorry, it went downhill from there, and they just snowballed, man. COG's just dangerous, and when they have the momentum, they take it.
Well, congratulations for them winning this game, and you guys are going on to the grand finals. And I gotta ask it, guys, do we have any Dig fans in here? Congratulations. Do you guys have anything to say to your fans or your sponsors?
Thank you guys for coming out and supporting us.
Win or lose, guys, we love you. Thank you for supporting us. And you guys are the only reason we're here. Like I said again, you'll have a good day, right?
Yo, good luck, guys. And we're now going to take it back to the hosts.
Thank you so much, Kelly.